Fellas, what's going on today? What's the word? Talk to me.
What up?
Everybody cool?
Do we not? I got a question for the panel this morning. Is playing more a bad thing, or is it a good thing?
Playing more?
Playing more.
I mean,
so when you guys, what I mean when I ask that question is, you got guys in the league today who, I think Giannis in the 1920 season, he won the league MVP. I think he averaged like 31, 32 minutes. And he ended up breaking down in the playoffs. Is playing more a good thing long term, or is the risk of getting hurt the reason why guys don't play?
I mean, I think it's like different for everyone. I think some people, they average 35, 37 minutes in the regular season and still do all right in the playoffs, while other guys clearly have a history of, getting hurt late in the season. But it really just comes down to how you take care of your body. There's a little bit of factor of luck involved, in terms of injuries. I mean, do I think Giannis would have got hurt even if he played 25 minutes a game during the regular season? I think yes. Like I don't know if his minutes load is the reason why he got hurt, or Joel Embiid's minutes load is the reason why he got hurt, rather than Joel Embiid's sheer size and mass, and somebody that big throughout a season is going to break down at some point.
I think it just depends on the person and their body. Everybody's body is a little bit different. So some guys, they can Iron Man it and they'll be absolutely fine. Some guys try to Iron Man it and, like Jalen said, luck is involved. And some guys, they have to micromanage their entire playing schedule. So, I mean, it really depends on who we're talking about. For a guy like Giannis, I don't think playing more is a bad thing. I don't know if, and maybe I'm drawing blanks, but I don't think Giannis has had like a bad history when it comes to injuries. I know we've had his injuries, but a lot of players have. But I don't think he has like a bad injury history where you would say he's injury prone. So I don't think Giannis should be worried about, a guy like Giannis should be worried about his minutes and load management, pause, and X, Y, and Z. But these other guys, Kawhi Leonard's of the world, the Paul Georges of the world, the ADs, hell, even to an extent, Stephen Curry, I definitely think they should manage their loads. Pause.
As a guy like Kawhi Leonard, is it because his body already started breaking down years ago? Now it's just something that's just becoming more of an issue today as opposed to back then. Because like we talk about Leonard getting hurt more today. He told us in 2017, 2018 that his knee was screwed up. He told us back then. That was 6-7 years ago. Now here we are in 2023 going into 2024. He's 32 years old, right? He's 32 years old. With him being 32 years old, that knee is just getting worse. Mm-hmm. He may be a guy who does need to load manage. But other guys like Anthony Davis, is it just a matter of a guy just not taking care of his body?
I think Anthony Davis is just the way his body is built. It's kind of like Tracy McGrady. Like he had degenerative knee or degenerative back, and he knew that early. Anthony Davis, maybe he just has weak bones in his body. I think at this point, I think most athletes, for the most part, take care of the body more than the regular person. I mean, I just think it's a luck factor. He just has a body that tends to break down more than others.
Because I feel like Anthony Davis, after they won the NBA championship, he got heavy. And I like to call it the fat cat syndrome. And it didn't help that, training camp was within, I think y'all had a month and a half off before training camp opened back up. So he didn't really have a lot of time to recover. And then I feel like he got heavy at that weight that he was playing at. I think that caused a lot of his injuries. So with that being said, are we looking at a dude now who now is, from what I see, he looked like he's in the best shape of his life. Can I get 65, 70 games out of him this year and not really be worried about him getting hurt because he's taking better care of his body?
I will say I was looking at some AD 2020 highlights, and he was moving a lot different. He looked a lot different. I was like, damn, it's only been 3 years, but he does look smaller back then. I didn't even realize it. Like, I didn't realize the weight he really put on since then, but he did look a lot smaller. He was moving a lot different, a lot faster, a lot quicker. Maybe it is the weight. And if I haven't seen him this past offseason, so I don't know how he's looking. But if you're saying he look like he's in the best shape of his life, I do think the weight would definitely be something to help him, because in the past he hasn't had this injury bug in the past until after the 2021 season for real. Well, until
Not
the
like
2021 season and after,
Yeah, not like that. Right.
Now he was
not
missing
like that.
majority of the season and stuff like that, not able to play at least 55 games type of ordeals.
Mhm.
He's never been that guy. His entire time in New Orleans, he was giving you 60, 65 games. Bare
68
minimum.
games, almost
Yeah.
70 games, 5 of the 6 years he
He
played
was
there.
consistent. So, yeah,
Right.
this is something relatively new, and the weight could be a part of that. I didn't even think about that.
And that's why I'm asking y'all, because you got guys who their bodies just aren't like KD, for example. His KD was never going to be Giannis. He was never going to get that big. That was just never him. But you got guys who are going to put themselves, they're going to put their bodies together where they could be stronger, right? Not only can they be stronger, they can last longer. So a dude like Joel Embiid, who Nick Nurse is putting it out there that, yo, I'm going to play him more. Well, I want to play him more because maybe, possibly, he can get himself more prepared for the postseason, as opposed to playing him 30x minutes a game, and then by the time the postseason comes, he starts to break down. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the injuries that he had was unforeseen. Like, he broke his face. I mean, what are we going to do about that? There's really not much we can do about a dude breaking his face. But I think that I think it says a lot about a guy playing more, right? I think it says a lot about a guy playing more to get his body more acclimated to the grind of what the NBA season is. That's why I always felt like the regular season mattered.
Would any of you guys play Joel Embiid more? Mars Ticket, I want you guys to chime in on this, and I also want you guys to just answer the question in general. Do you guys think playing more is essentially better?
Oh, okay.
Where you at, Mars? What's up, brother?
I saw Ticket on me as Mike, so I thought he was gonna go. But I think playing more is dependent on the person. I think teams don't want to play their players more because I think nowadays they view it more long term, whereas maybe back in the day it was more, what can you do for me now? We don't know how long we've got, so we want to try and maximize our window in the short term, whereas now I think it's a more long term thing. So I think now teams would rather their star players play, instead of 75 regular season games, they maybe play 62, but they're there for the playoffs ideally. But I think guys like Embiid, I'm trying to minimize the likelihood of injury, and to me, the lower the likelihood is to play him less. I think that's how it works. But I think generally speaking, I think most players aren't like Joel Embiid. I think when it comes to bigs, you have to implement a different set of structures, because no human's meant to be 7'1", 280. Like, that's not meant to be how the human body is designed. So I wouldn't expect them to be able to do the same things that a 6'3", 190 person can do, just because your body is so different. I'm not going to ask both of you to play 82 games at 38 minutes a game. I don't think that's realistic. So for bigs, I'd probably have a different set of rules and scheduling involved, just based on the fact that their body is different. But generally, I think most players, especially nowadays, fall into the category of, we don't really want you playing 82 minutes a game at 39 minutes and then expecting a postseason run, even though that seemed to be the case back in the day. But I could also argue that that's why not many people have the longevity we see of players today. I mean, obviously you got Kareem, number 32 in Utah, but other than like those guys, not many people are matching up to the longevity we're seeing of Kevin Durant in year 17 after many major injuries, LeBron in year 21. Like, we're not seeing many people doing those things. So I think that's why teams are viewing this strategy as successful.
Now, even if you're that big, though, Mars, even if you are that big, so for example, Joel Embiid, that's 7'1", 275, 280. Well, is it fair to say that you could take better care of your body? Because, Shaq showed up, he was 290 when he first showed up in the NBA. When he was in Miami in 2004, when he first got to Miami in 2004, his plan where he was at 3.25. Now, that's almost 40 pounds, right? That's almost 30 more pounds that he was playing with. And a lot of it was muscle. So a guy like Joel Embiid, who came into camp, I believe it was 2 years ago, he lost like 20 pounds. What is a good playing weight for this guy? And how can we maintain that where we can maximize his playing time? Because we all know that around, I guess, I'm thinking like year 8, year 9 is when these big guys start breaking down, where we got to start now managing them more. So Joel Embiid, I believe, he showed up in 14. He missed those 2 years. So he's got, 6 years on him now? So he's got 6 years on him now. So with him breaking down, I think it's a matter of Joel Embiid not taking care of his body more than it's just him just being massive. Because these guys that are massive, Mars, they're massive and athletic for a reason. That's how they put together. Now it's just a matter of them taking better care of their body. Like you said yesterday about guys being better players. Well, it's on the player to maximize what the team is giving them. Well, it's also on the player to take better care of his body too.
I agree. I think every player should be looking to take care of their body. I'm not asking every player to spend $1 million on whatever they're doing for that. Like, not everyone can do all of that. Right. But I do think players got to take care of their bodies. I mean, we've obviously heard stories about Joel Embiid not being the most serious when it comes to his diet and things like that. So maybe that all plays a factor. But me personally, I think alongside that, I think the way the game has changed, especially for bigs, makes it harder for them to stay healthy. I think the game being faster isn't in their best interest. I think the game being more spaced out, them having to cover more distance on a regular basis, them having to make more cuts, them having to do a lot more, I guess, sharp movements. Whereas back in the day, it was less of that and more get yourself in the post. The ball's going to find you. Then you got to bang down low, which definitely takes a toll on your body, 1000%. But it's less sharp cuts, which is more damage on your knees and your joints, less distance to cover, all of those things that I think is just making it harder for a big to really stay at 100%, which I think is a contributing factor alongside not taking care of your body. I think if you put some of these bigs in older eras, not that they'd be better, but I think their health would benefit just because they don't have as much of a large toll on their body, especially their lower body, which is where bigs seem to have most of their problems, in my opinion.
Now, my counter to that, Mars, is we live in the most athletic era that the NBA has ever seen. So if the big guy is healthy, if the big guy is more athletic now, if he takes care of his body because of what the game is, right? So we got big guys playing further away from the basket. They don't bang down low as much as they used to. They're not as physical as they used to. And the game is more athletic today. Shouldn't they be in better shape?
In better shape, sure, but does athleticism guarantee health, or does it just, when you are healthy, you just have more physical capabilities? I know plenty of people who are extremely athletic. I know many people who take care of their bodies very well, but sometimes you just don't have the luck of staying healthy.
Right.
And I think you can do everything in your power to try and mitigate injuries, but if you just have deficiencies in one area and you play sports, that deficiency is going to get found out, and you're going to end up dealing with that injury recurring all the time. And I think some guys like Joel Embiid, maybe like Anthony Davis, might just have something that makes it hard for them to play 82 consistently, regardless of how well they take care of their body. I think Anthony Davis put on weight because he was asked to play the 5. And I think that's why he doesn't move as well. And maybe that's why he doesn't want to play the 5. Maybe he knows he's not in his best physical condition when he's at the 5 because he has to put on the extra weight. He doesn't move as well. But then he says he doesn't want to play the 5 and then he gets called soft. So it's like, what do you really want Anthony Davis to do? He's going to get hurt at the 5 because he's not in his best physical condition. But if he's in the best physical condition, he's not big enough to play the 5 and then you call him soft. So it's a catch-22 at that point. So
and then he plays while he's hurt and he still gets called soft, which is even more crazy. He plays while he's hurt because he falls and gets back up. Oh man, he fell. He's so soft, but then he gets up and drops 30, and then is a potential DPOY on top of dropping 30 while being hurt for a season and the playoffs, but he's still soft. It's crazy.
I still have not gotten a satisfactory answer on why he wasn't an all-league defender or an all-NBA performer this year. Still have not gotten a satisfactory answer for that.
Yo, Ticket. I want you to answer this question.
I'm about to say Big Dave.
Yeah.
$100.
Got the little hundo.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
It's a fire show. We know that. Everybody know that.
There we go.
Appreciate you, Dave. Appreciate you. Yo, Ticket. Should players play more? Is Nick Nurse tripping for saying that he wants to play Joel Embiid more?
Nah, guys is lazy and they're getting guaranteed money. That's the problem. If you didn't give guys guaranteed money, they'd be in better shape. They'd play more. Simple as that. If the money was not guaranteed,
I don't hate that.
And you had to work
for hate that. I do not hate that. I don't.
Be playing.
I don't. I don't. I don't hate
all
that.
of the other stuff don't mean nothing because it is nothing. It's all about money. You know, you stop giving dudes guaranteed money, and you make them work for what they do. They'll show up. They'll play. But once you start giving these,
what if we did this ticket? Let me ask you a question really quick, Ticket. What if instead of we'll keep the guaranteed money, but how about we shorten it? How about that? How about you got a 4-year deal, and in the 4-year deal, 2 of it is guaranteed?
Nah, I don't even think that. I think they should just do it off of a pay-by-play basis. You know, unless you have a legitimate injury that covers you for being out. If you don't play, you don't get. I mean, once cats start losing $400,000 a game, they'll get the issue. You'll stop seeing load management. You'll stop seeing all the excuses will go out the window. You start. It's like a relationship, man. When you let a woman do anything to you, she take a little bit, start doing a lot. You know, you let her start showing a little bit of something on IG, and then she starts showing everything, and then it gets to a point where you've allowed it, so it's out of control. So now it's taking advantage of you. Once you've been taken advantage of, it's over with. That's what's been going on with the NBA. They allowed a little bit of load management back when Pop and them started it, and then more teams caught on and got comfortable with it. The players got comfortable because they're still gonna get their money, regardless. Even if they sit on the sideline, they still gonna get $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a night for sitting on the sideline, and so it's cool. Meanwhile, if you look at football, I don't even think that all those guys' contracts are guaranteed. I think they gotta like play to get that money.
Yeah, most of them aren't full. Most of them guaranteed for sure.
If you do it like that, man, guys gonna play, man. All the injury stuff, all the other stuff, dudes got lazy when the money went out. That's why when you look at the old school guys, they had less everything, less sports science, less medicine, less everything, but they did more because they wanted to earn that money. They wanted to feed their families. These guys now, they're making in 1 year what those guys made their whole career. So, I mean, once you start giving everybody something, the work ethic goes out. Only the true great ones are going to keep working hard once they already got the bag. That's why you only see a certain few get to an all-time elite level.
But what if you have a situation like with Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs back in 2017 where Kawhi is saying, hey, man, I'm actually hurt, and you got teammates and you got the team doctor saying, nah, I think you're good. And he's telling you like, nah, bro, like I got a second opinion. I'm not good. I know my body. I'm not good. But again, your teammate, I had that injury. I know it's not that bad. The team doctor, no, I think he's good. What if you have that situation going on? If you're going by the logic of doing by game basis, if you have a legitimate injury, who decides if it's a legitimate injury? An NBA doctor, a team doctor? Like how we decide that?
It's easy. You just they have to file once you get hurt. You have to have the licensed doctor, whoever it is, whether it's a team doctor or lead doctor, file that injury report. You know what I'm saying? And then with the injury report comes a certain amount of missed games. So if there's a certain injury or injury report and the player's supposed to miss a certain amount of missed games, the way you cut out the load management is by saying, okay, well, this injury's supposed to be 3 games out. Okay, well, he can't play 3 games. Each injury, you have a certain amount of injury recovery time. That way you start prevent teams from load managing, because now instead of them trying to just do it for a player not to play 1 game, now he got to sit out 3 games because he got to sit out a week and a half or 2 weeks. Those are the timelines for these certain injuries. That's how you curtail that stuff, man. But like I said, it's all about the money, man. If you stop giving them dudes guaranteed money and you make them work for those checks, they will be out there every single night.
I think that's where the union comes in, though, Ticket, because the union's going to have something to say about that. Because like you just said, because what it sounds like to me is it sounds like me getting a cold and the doctor going, yo, he got a cold. He can be out for he can't come to school for 2 days. All right, after the 2 days, I need to have my ass in school. That's it. Now, the union comes in and the union says, well, the diagnosis says he's got a cold, but he's a lot sicker than you diagnosed him. So you're wrong about that. As opposed to it just being that cut and dry where, yo, I got a knee injury, I got a bruise, this contusion, I should be out for a week. Instead, you misdiagnosed me, and this injury is actually worse than what you told me. I actually told you it was worse. And then instead of me being out for 2 to 3 weeks, I was only out for a week, came back too soon because I was rushed to come back and I got hurt. And now it's even worse.
You can get their timeline extended. I mean, if you're not ready to come back, you just go back to the doctor, tell them you ain't ready to go back. They go through the league and get your timeline extended. So that's easy right there. But as I said, man, it's all about the money, man. Everything has something to do with money, man. If you cut people's money off and stop giving them guaranteed money, it's almost like a job, Chilltown. You're not gonna pay nobody
like that.
before
exactly like that.
You're not gonna give nobody half the money before they finish. You know what I'm saying? You the type of person, you're gonna wait till they finish a job, then you're gonna pay them. You know, you don't go to any job right now and they say, hey man, we're gonna give you half your money right now. And then when you finish, we're gonna give you the other half. No, you only see that sometimes with artists when they have certain shows and stuff. And then what happens when the show falls through? They gotta get the money back. So yeah.
Yo, ticket, and really everybody up here. My follow-up question to all of this is, do you guys believe that low managing is actually good on any level? Or do you think it just needs to be taken away, just period?
I think it's good to a certain extent. Like if a player wants to load manage, couple back-to-back games after they've been in the league, if they're 32 years old plus and they want to load manage some back-to-back games that they've had, a couple years where they had injury problems, back or knee, I think there is definitely proper reason to load manage. Like I said, we've seen sometimes, load managing 5 or 6 games a season might mean you play an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the league, right? So you're technically getting more games out of that player in the long run, even though short term, you're sitting on more games. Obviously, if they're load managing, 20 plus games in a season, that seems a little problematic. But again, it's all very subjective, right? You never know what's going on with the player's body. Sometimes a player might say, hey, my knee hurts, my back hurts, and the doctors don't know what it is. We saw what happened to Grant Hill. He had his entire career destroyed because he was rushed back. Maybe he felt the pressure to play by the organization, by his teammates, whatever the case may be. So I don't want to see that situation again. So I think for the most part, load management to a certain level and degree is fine. It's just, what is that line and degree? Again, who is the judge? Just like what Damo said with the doctors thing. I think we all agree with Ticket about the money. Yeah, I mean, if the money wasn't guaranteed, 100% players are probably going to pay more. But again, who's going to be that person to decide what's a real injury, what's not? And I just don't think the players' union's ever going to come to a situation in any bargaining agreement where non-guaranteed contracts are even talked about. The NFL is the only North American organization that doesn't give out fully guaranteed. NBA, NHL, MLB, rest is all fully guaranteed.
I personally think,
go ahead,
I was going to say, hey, man, listen, I'm all for load managing, but if you're gonna rest, if you're not going to play, you don't get paid. And I'll take it a step further. To incentivize people to come to games still, even if players resting, give a random fan that game check. How about that? I know it won't happen, but if the issue no, being 100% honest,
I know it won't happen.
I know it won't happen. The owners ain't going for that. Give
don't pay, yeah.
Money.
Yep,
Yeah, not even the player unit. The owner not going for that. I'm not giving some random of 500,000. But that's serious. To incentivize fans to still come out, get season tickets, even though players like LeBron, Kawhi, and all them are resting. Random fan in the arena, you get their game check if they don't want to play.
Yo, Damo, I'm talking about every Clippers game will be sold out.
You're gonna get a random fan Kawhi game check.
The second-hand market prices for those tickets. If you know Kawhi's sitting out, or you're thinking about it, people might pay $2,000 per ticket. I might get a chance to $500K. Yeah, so I mean,
hey, Jalen, I'm ticket scalping.
Somebody, what you call it? Tay Luke even said something that made me even think about it more. He said split it between a bunch of all the fans. Maybe not even split it between all the fans, but split it up so a bunch of fans can get it. So if it's like a $500,000 game check, split it up to 50 bands a piece, like Buddy, like Black just said, or however many bands a piece, and give it to random fans throughout the arena so more people get the bread.
500 people get 1,000 a piece.
Yeah, 500 people get 1,000 piece. A bunch of people get 50 bands, however much money it is. But still incentivize people to still go to games if low managing is a problem. The owners are still going to sell out. The owners will sell out arenas. The players can rest. And if you're on a LeBron James contract, you're not really worried about it. Let's be honest. Bron's not sweating over missing. I wouldn't think, man. Let me not count the man pocket. I wouldn't think these guys on Supermax deals are sweating that $400 to $500,000 game check, maybe they are. But the ones that aren't, hey man, you can look at it as giving it back to the people. You're giving it back to everybody, and you get the rest. That's a win for you. I feel like it's a win for everybody in that situation. How about donating to charity? Nigga, I am the charity. What? I'm the charity.
We can use it.
It's like any job. You know, I do deserve a day off. I mean, I got scheduled days off. Now, the days where I don't have scheduled days off, when I know I can work and I don't show up to work, those are the days that you don't get paid. Those are the days that you do not get paid. Any time throughout the course of an 82 game season where I'm good to go and I don't go because I'm not playing today, just because, even though I just had a day off 2 days ago, well, that's a problem, and I'm not getting paid. If you are able to work, if you are able to play, you play, and the organization gives you the time off that you need throughout the season. Now, when guys are abusing it, that's when it becomes a problem, and that's when the money should be taken away.
Chill, I thought about what you said, and I think they should put a limit. For example, on load management, I think it should only be 5 games per player per season, unless you're over 38 years old. Then you get in a range of 8 games, 8 to 10 games if you're a senior citizen in the league. But also, I think that if you're hurt, you should have to, or sick, you should have to be required to miss no less than 2 or 3 games. That way it stops load management, because now if a player is injured, they have to miss 2 or 3 games at least before they come back. So now that would penalize the team if you're load managing your best players, because the league can say, in the best interest for the safety of our players, we're going to ensure that they come back healthy and hold them out extra games, and that will curtail that. So that's a different way of doing it without getting rid of the load management.
Big Ox Media came through with the not so super chat. He said, y'all want to take these young brothers' money. Can't believe y'all calling for billionaires.
No, we ain't doing that, Ox. What we doing? No, first of all, Ox, you trolling. That's number one. Number two, all we're asking for is you get paid a lot of money to do a job that you've worked your life to do. You get paid a lot of money. Bring your ass to work. Because there's people who pay a lot of money to come see you. At the end of the day, this is entertainment. You are the show. And you know what it was when you signed up for the show. Now, if you can't go tonight, all right, I can get with that. You got a scheduled day off. Or I can't go tonight because my back is hurting. You got the best training staff. Not only do you have the best training staff, you got the best coaching staff. You have the best chefs. All the amenities are at your disposal. There is no reason why today you shouldn't be playing more than you did in 1992 when this stuff wasn't available. Yo, you know these dudes didn't start flying private till like 90. So like 1990 was when they started flying. Like 1988, 1990 was when they started flying private. So imagine Mars sitting in the airport for 3 hours on a delay with a bunch of people after you just lost a playoff game. You sitting in the airport today. That's what's good. That was going on 35 years ago. Today, you don't have that issue. You do not have that issue. You have trainers on staff. In fact, you can hire your own trainer. James did it. All of these amenities are at your disposal. There is no reason why you should not be able to work more than 80% of the time. There's no reason why. I don't think it's ridiculous for me to ask in an 82-game season for you to play 65, 70 games. I don't understand why that's ridiculous for me to ask that. What job can you have where you can keep your job when you don't show up 80% of the time? What job can you keep?
Well, that's the answer to that. Y'all, you see the title of the show. The Charlotte Hornets will go as far as LaMelo Ball takes them. We will be breaking down the Charlotte Hornets. We'll talk about them and what their future may or may not hold. I'm going to get to these super chats, but before I do that, I do want to ask everybody one more question in light of this whole Joel Embiid thing. And I appreciate everybody that sent through a super chat. I appreciate all the viewers. Like the video if you haven't. Continue to comment. Turn the chat up today, y'all. Let's get the chat going, y'all. Let's get the chat on 10. Y'all, yeah. Hey, last episode y'all was on 9. I need y'all on 10 today. But I got to ask, if you're Nick Nurse do you play Joel Embiid more? Actually, I want to ask, what does Joel Embiid look like if he plays more? He got the MVP last year. Keep in mind. What does he look like playing more?
When you say more, you just mean more game. Like minutes-wise, what did he play last year? Like
I took it as more minutes. Because if he's available, I'm assuming he's playing. Is that what you guys see it as? Like when he says he's going to play more, you think he's talking about more minutes per game?
Yes.
So what does he look like playing more minutes per game?
He played 34.6 last year. If he plays, let's say 37 this year, he's going to have an uptick in points, rebounds. I mean, Nick Nurse is notorious, especially with the Raptors. He would play guys 40-plus minutes, especially in close games. Do I think it's beneficial for Joel Embiid to average 38 minutes a game throughout the regular season? Absolutely not. I mean, I think
why, Jalen? Why? There's a reason why when we get to the playoffs, he breaks down. There's a reason why he slows down in the playoffs.
And it's not because he didn't play enough in the regular season, though. I don't think that's the reason. It's because
how much is he playing in the regular season? He's playing what, 33, 34 minutes, 35 minutes a game, something like that. How many games is he playing?
I'm saying how many games he played last.
How many games is he playing?
Wanted him to play more games.
So he played 66
games. He said he wanted him to play more games. He said he wanted him to play more games.
Yep. He wanted him to play more games.
I think it's always better to play more games. You're in better shape. The body's in better condition. And it helps prevent you from having injuries when you're playing more. Playing less is the problem. When you're playing less, your body doesn't have a chance to really adjust to physicality that you're going to need it and the level that you're going to need it to perform when you get to the playoffs. So playing less games hurt. When you play more games, when you're constantly playing, your body is constantly built for those moments. So all these injuries he's having towards the end of the season and in the playoffs, when you're playing and your body is constantly, working and being able to build up its strength, that helps you along the way. I think the rest kind of hurt people because it wasn't built for younger guys. The rest was only designed by Popovich for the older guys on the team, for the vets who have been there through the wars for years and years and years. When you got guys in early 30s, stuff like that doing it, when you got guys in their late 20s, early 30s doing it, that's a problem. Because now your body is not programmed, your body's not strengthened enough to when we get deep into the season to be able to take all of the punishment it needs to take, versus if you're playing 80 games, 78 games, and then you're going into the playoffs, now you're going in at peak optimum performance and optimum level shape versus a guy who missed 30-something games. That's bad for you, man.
So
and a guy like Joel Embiid, who he needs that, because as long as he's been in the league, they've only gotten to the second round. And don't get me wrong, I can appreciate his injury history, but I understand that that's largely due to him not taking care of his body. That's why he breaks down. Like him getting his face broken, that was inadvertent. We can't. There's really not. I don't think that there's anything we can do with that. The fact that he had a knee injury, I think that's because he's heavy. I think he could stand to lose some more weight. I think he was too heavy. He could stand to lose some more weight, and he needs to play more because to add the Ticket's point, when I'm playing more, so if I'm playing 60 games, I'm only prepared to play 60 games, as opposed to if I'm playing 70 games, if I'm playing 75 games. Now I'm going into the playoffs and I'm ready to go. I'm ready for action when the playoffs start because I played the majority of the season. I'm ready for the playoffs. You see the guys when the playoffs start who's ready for the playoffs and who's not ready for the playoffs. Physically, these guys break down. Physically, these guys are slower. Joel Embiid is one of those guys who I could see him playing at 275 and maybe a little less body fat. So when he ends up getting injured, because he's going to get hurt, when he ends up getting injured because he's playing that much, he can handle it, as opposed to I only played 40 games and I rolled my ankle, so I'm gonna be out for another 20 games.
All right, so chilling Ticket. This is once again I'm gonna ask you guys this question. If Joel Embiid plays, let's say 75 games, what does he look like? What does the season look like? And I want to hear this from everybody. It could be a multitude of answers. It could be he gets another MVP. It could be he makes a deep playoff run. It could be he doesn't get to the playoffs. But I want to hear what you guys project that he'll do with Nick Nurse playing in more games. What you think, Ticket?
More healthy playoff run, more in shape, more ready for the playoffs. A lot of rest for young guys ain't good. For the older guys, for the old guys, it's better because you don't want to wear down. But for the younger guys like that, all that rest ain't good. All that being off your feet and resting is not good for you. So I think you see his best playoff runs if he play more during the regular season, because now he goes into the postseason and his body is ready. His body is more ready and is more tuned in to where he need to be at to perform at the level he need to perform at.
Okay, what you think, Chill?
Ron, if we call this the off season that we in right now, and we go 3 hours a day. If I showed up twice a week, 3 hours, now the basketball season comes, and now we having in-depth conversations about everything every day. Am I going to be prepared to go 5 days a week, 3 hours? Probably not, because I wasn't ready earlier when the off season was going on. I wasn't prepared for that. So when you got to do like Joel Embiid, who we get to the point where he's playing 65 games at 30 minutes. So when the playoffs come, when something happens, it affects him because he wasn't prepared throughout the season. If he plays more, I tell you what, Philly is better. I think Philly is a lot better. I think that he's better as a player. What I will say, though, is this. Him being more aggressive offensively, I don't think that has anything to do with him playing more. That's just a mentality. That's all that is more than anything. So guys like Marcus Smart switching on him, that has nothing to do with him playing more games. That has nothing to do with him being on the floor more. He can recognize right from the beginning, I got a smaller man on me. Get me the basketball. I don't think that has anything to do with him being on the floor more. You just have to be more aggressive. That's just, if that's not in his nature, that's just not who he is. But him in terms of health, that's been one of his biggest issues. And the reason why that's been one of his biggest issues, because I don't think he's prepared to play deep into the playoffs.
All right, Mars, what you think?
I don't think much would change. He played 66 last year. I don't think an extra 9 games is going to make or break the Sixers season. I think they would have lost in the second round again last year if Joel Embiid played the extra 9 games. I think his postseason injuries get a bit, I don't want to say overblown because he's always hurt, but I don't think they're because he's out of shape. For example, like Chill said, I mean, you can't prepare for breaking your face. There's just nothing you can do about that. 21, if I remember correctly, he tore his meniscus during the regular season and then just played through it in the playoffs. So that's not even a postseason injury. He just played through it. And then this last year, he sprained his LCL in that game against Brooklyn, where if you look at the way he landed, I mean, I don't know if that's just because he's out of shape or because the fact that he just landed very awkwardly and that led to him being hurt. I don't think that's because he was out of shape and that's why he got injured. I think it's because the way he was playing against Claxton, it was a very aggressive game. He landed awkwardly, sprained his LCL. I don't think there's much preparation that can happen. If he plays an extra 9 games, I think the same thing happens. But if I had to guess, I assume if Joel Embiid plays more, I think his defense would be worse. I don't think he'd be as consistently engaged on defense because I think he'd probably find a way to get his rest. And I think he'd probably just rest more defensively while he's on the floor instead of just taking days off. But I don't like the idea that it's these players that are choosing to load manage. Like, I think that's the case in some instances, but assuming that's the case for everyone, I don't know. I think these teams are trying to load manage their players. I think because from what I know, these guys love to play basketball. I don't think they're just choosing to not play 25 games a season. I think some of it is the fact that the medical staff or the ownership or the upper management is saying, we don't want our star investment playing this game against the Detroit Pistons on a Wednesday night that has no bearing on our season when we can beat them without him. I think that's part of it. I don't think it's entirely on the players. I don't think it's entirely on the coaching staff. I think they work together hand in hand. I don't like that we seem to just be blaming the players for load management when I don't think that's the whole case. But that's my
Two things though, Mars. Number one, those 9 games, they only finished 3 games behind Boston. So those 9 games, they might be able to catch Boston and get the 2 seed. Now, they ended up having to see Boston in the second round, but that game 7 may be on your floor than on their floor. You might get a better matchup in the first round. You might get a better matchup in the second round. These things do matter. That's number one. Number two, when I'm thinking about Joel Embiid defensively, the fact that I'm on the floor more defensively, that helps out my other guys. Because now I know that a guy like Joel Embiid is behind me. I know that he's engaged defensively. I don't think that he'd rest Mars because I think that he knows how much they depend on him defensively. And I think that would raise them. And that would raise guys like Maxey. That would raise guys like, who am I thinking about? Guy that played Harris. That would raise guys like Harris. That would raise guys like Maxey's intensity when knowing that Joel Embiid is going to be on the floor these amount of games. That's going to help them out defensively, which helps the team out defensively. So now when we go into the playoffs, we're even better and we're more confident because I know, number one, I'm going to have this big guy. Number two, I'm going to be more aggressive defensively, and that can give us a better shot at winning. The idea of us load managing, the idea of guys load management, again, Mars, I don't want to take away from guys having days off. There's nobody who works all the time and never gets a day off. That's just not the way that works. You do need days off. But the idea of you knowing that you can go and still not going, that's where the problem lies. And doing it continuously, that's where the problem lies.
How you feeling,
Mama? Can I respond to something you just said?
I'm listening.
Oh, my bad.
No, you got it. Talk to us.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say to Chilltown. I want you to think about something. There was a reason why all the great coaches moved a certain way. Larry Brown, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, and the list goes on. They always had their players ready to roll for the most part because of how they drove the players. They all believed in those hard practices during the season, which they have stopped in the NBA. A lot of teams don't practice like they do. Had those, 2.5, 3 hour practices during the season, like Larry Brown, Pat Riley, and all those that guys did because and during an 82 game season, because they believed in that concept of you playing all the time and having your body stronger, more physically ready. Guys was in the weight room more. This helped guys build up their bodies and be able to take the punishment and play more. And that concluded into these guys winning championships. We know how many championships Pat Riley had. We know how many Phil Jackson had. Those guys drove their teams hard. Pop did
physically.
Too.
I was prepared.
Before.
Physically, I was prepared to go deep into the postseason. Physically, all right, I'm with you.
Right. Pop did too before Tim and them guys got old. I think that's where we kind of lose this, and then we start when we got into the load management. It started everybody looked at injuries. They needed more rest when that's it's the contrary. Guys needed to work more and work harder and have their bodies physically capable of playing through injuries sometimes, not playing without not sitting when you get an injury, but when your body is stronger like that, you're able to play through injuries a lot of times because of the strength that you built up throughout the course of the season. So I just, like I said, I'm of that philosophy, and I've seen that it's worked a lot, and load management to me has improved that it's worked because the more these guys are rested, they still haven't, most of them still getting hurt, still haven't been able to finish the seasons, things like that. So versus when guys was practicing and playing most of the games, and I think, I don't know if it was you who said something about Joel Embiid or if it was Bob said Joel Embiid, big self don't need that rest. Well, I'm pretty sure if you go look at Shaq, 7 or 8 years in the league, I'm pretty sure he was playing in the upper 70s, something like that per game. I don't think Shaq started lowering his total of games until the second half of his career, to the end of his career, sort of like. But I'm pretty sure he did, and except for that year he got hurt.
The first year he got with the Lakers, he ended up hyperextending his knee, and he didn't play that much. He got hurt in Orlando too. Yeah, the year before that, he got hurt in Orlando too.
Yeah, but he, for the most part, he was out there, and all the way up until, I guess, his mid-30s, like 32, I guess, 31, 32. Mm-hmm. If you go look at his games played, the only time he missed is when he was hurt. And so, like I said, man, I look at that stuff, man. I look at the results of, same thing with the Hakeems of the world. The same thing with all the great ones. the David Robinsons of the world, the Karl Malones of the world. These guys are going deep in the playoffs, and they're playing a lot of games, and they're going deep every year. And you're not going to tell me that they didn't have injuries. You're not going to tell me sometimes these guys were playing with torn ligaments. Some guys we've seen Kobe Bryant playing with torn ligaments in his shoulder, broken fingers, all kind of injuries that nowadays they'll shut you down for. Like Tyler Hero broke his finger going for the playoffs. Kobe Bryant has that same injury. He doesn't miss a game. You know what I'm saying? Certain guy, Jordan has that injury, doesn't miss a game. So it's a part of the mentality too. And it's, like I said, just being out there. So I think that if they went back to that mentality, you would see a better product all the way across the board because guys will be in better physical shape going into the trenches of the postseason. That's how I feel. And like I said, they'll be able to play through those injuries a lot better than guys can now. We saw Kawhi drop 30, and he had a torn ligament in his knee. In the next game, he couldn't play no more. All of a sudden, make it make sense.
I feel
Jalen Damo. Go ahead, Damo.
I was gonna say I feel like with Joel Embiid, one, to answer the question about what does he look like playing 75 games, the same he's been looking. He's on like a dominant big man, one of the best big men in the league. That he's gonna play more games, but I don't think he should play more than 34, 35 minutes. There's no need to up his usage for the simple fact, in my opinion, he came into the league with injury problems. He missed his first 2 seasons with a foot injury. He literally was load managed to the T his official rookie year, and I believe he still might have got hurt. Ever since he's gotten the league, there has been some form of load managing for Joel Embiid. So I don't think this is a situation where you're just gonna say, nah, Shaq did it, all these other guys did it back in the day, and maybe and these guys in the league now they're able to do it. Why aren't you able to do it? Because he didn't come in the league able to do it. He literally since day one was already on a different trajectory when it came to his ability to play and how much usage you can use him. He was already different. This is a different case than any other big. And I understand you can say, hold on, I can understand saying lower his weight, do this, that, and the third. Joel wasn't that big when he came into the league. He put on weight afterwards, but he didn't come into the league just heavy. He was
can I ask you a question,
in a lot
Damo?
better shape, and he was still hurt. But go ahead.
Damo, can I please ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, Damo. You just said that he's been doing the same thing since he came in the league, and it hasn't been working. When you do the same thing over and over and over again and it doesn't work, don't you think you should change something?
I'm not saying he's doing the same thing and it's not working. I'm saying in terms of his health, he came into the NBA a unhealthy center. He came into the NBA as a center with injury problems. So I don't think any form of trying to test how much more you can play, load manage, I don't think any of that's going to matter because you are who we thought you were in this case. He's literally the big man who came in with lingering energy. He's always been hurt. And as far as I know, I mean, yes, you could definitely find the clips of me being super hard on him about him not being as productive in the regular season as he is in the playoffs. But he's been hurt in damn near every playoff series.
Well, that's the thing, though, Damo.
And for the most part, he's been playing. It's not like he's going into these playoffs and he's not playing. I just checked to make sure. Last year, he played 9 games in the playoffs. The year before that, 10 games. The year before that, 11. In 2020, it was 4 games. And I want to say, did they get knocked out in the first round?
They got swept by Boston.
And the year before that, 11. Year before that, 8. So it's not like this is a Kawhi Leonard situation where one game you're playing, now you have to rest 2 games. He's on the court when it's time to play. He's just hurt. What can you do about that when he came in the league just hurt?
Well,
he started in the league just hurt. He continued being an MVP and a great dominant big in his league. Just hurt. He's an injury riddle big.
But is that how we handle him though, Damo, or do we find out how far we can go with him as opposed to just handling him with kid gloves? All right, he's got a foot problem when he shows up. He hasn't had those feet problems since that happened, and that was 7 years ago, right? So now the fact that he hasn't had that problem, we still got to find out what we have with this guy in terms of help, and we're not going to find that out if we're continuously handling him with kid gloves where we're pushing him slowly and slowly. Well, we're at a point now with Joel Embiid where we probably have maybe 3 more years at this level. What is he, 28? Something like that? 28, 29? I'm thinking
29 this upcoming season. He's going to turn 29.
So 29. I'm guessing at this rate, we probably got 3 more years at this level. 3 more years at this level. So if we got 3 more years at this level, I need to push him as much as I can to know exactly how far I can push him. I don't think he's been pushed like that. I think he's been handled with kid gloves. Don't get me wrong. Just because you're on the floor, that doesn't mean that you're physically able. I mean, that does mean that you're physically able, but how physically able are you to perform at a high level? Because again, I see him in the playoffs and I see physically, he just doesn't look the same as he does in January or in February. Usually these guys that play in the playoffs that are playing at a high level, you see them playing at a high level in February, in March. So they're gearing up for the playoffs. I'm getting more ready. This is the most ready that I've been once the playoffs start. I don't think that Philly has pushed him enough to see exactly how far we can get with him.
I mean, but again, I feel you. OG, I definitely feel you. But with a guy that you know has a blatant injury problem, if you're thinking long term, I mean, I think Jalen was the one that said it earlier, and I resonate with that a lot. I think that's really what the case is. It's really a case of they're looking long term with their investment, because at the end of the day, these owners are looking at these players like investments. I'm investing my money into you. You got to bring money back into the stadium and into my pockets. At the end of the day, this is a business. They're looking long term. If I push you super hard, long term down the line, 4 or 5 years later, you might not be here if I push you that hard. Versus if and you can say handle with kid gloves, but I mean 30 minutes a game in 2018, 33 minutes a game in 19, 30 minutes a game in 20, 31 and 21, 34 and 22 and 23.
That's a little bit more than half the game, B.
Again, 34 minutes for a guy who is blatantly injury prone. If I'm looking long term, that is as much as I'm going to get out of him, especially in the playoffs. I'm giving you 40 minutes a game. He played 38 minutes a game in the last playoffs. What was it? 38 minutes last playoffs, 39 playoffs before that. In 2021 it was 33, but in 2020 it was 36. Like, he's playing more. They're ramping it up when he gets to the playoffs. It's not like they're coddling the whole time, but it's only so much you can do if you're really worried about your investment. And honestly, if you're a franchise that's not prioritizing getting a championship for real, that's really what this is about. If they were really focused on absolutely winning a championship, he would get him a coach, he would get him staff that are there to push him and play him as much as possible for the short-term game and trying to win. But the fact that they're getting coaches to coddle him, if you want to say, they're getting coaches and they're getting staff people and they're getting people around him who enables him only playing 34 minutes max in the regular season, 40 minutes max in the playoffs, and we're going to handle this like this is an organization. I promise you they're worried about the business of basketball more than just winning as an organization. Embiid might want to win. Other guys might want to win. But the owner, the people in the front office, they're like, look, we had damn near half a decade where we were bottom feeders in the league. Them suits get in there and like, yo, we got to make some money. That man brings us money. Keep him on this court as long as possible. And that's what they're doing. That's what it looks like to me. Now, I could just be chatting.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
That's what they're looking at as a business. As a business, you protect your long-term investment.
Mars?
Since Joel Embiid's rookie year, where everyone knows he load managed the rookie year coming off 2 years of injury. So other than that year, every year on, he's played 77% of all regular season games.
That's 3 out of every 4 games.
I don't know what more we really want from him. If over that's 1, 2, 3, that's 6 seasons, he's played 77% of all regular season games in that time. That's pretty available to me. He's missed 8 playoff games in his career. 8. I think he's been pretty available from, like, if you told a Philly fan after the 2 years where he didn't play at all, and then the first season where he was load managed to hell, that for the next 6 years, you'd get him 77% available all the time. 77%. And he'd miss 8 playoff games in the next 7 years.
You'll take that,
I think they'd be very happy with that. So what more are we really, because you said what player isn't available 80% of the time. He's damn close. He's 77%. Like, I don't know what more are we really asking for. The last 2 years, he's played 68 and 66. That's over the All-NBA threshold of 65. So he's even been more available in those 2 years. So are we still asking him to play more?
Is it 77% Miles or 75 games or 65 games?
No, he's been available since 2017-18 for 77% of all regular season.
All right, so that's 3 out of every 4 games he's playing.
So he's been available, and then the last 2 years has been 80+%, 80+% of all games.
That's 4 out of every 5 games he's playing.
He's been available. What more are we asking for?
The thing that I'm thinking about with him is I'm just thinking about when he plays and how much he plays. Now, the fact that he's playing, it's obvious that he's on the floor. And again, I can't The fact that you're on the floor, we can't make you want the basketball. We can't make you be tougher. The fact that you're available, that's one thing, right? That's one thing, the fact that you're available. But when we're trying to make deep runs into the playoffs, physically, I have to be prepared for that. I have to be physically prepared for that. So the fact that Joel Embiid maybe is just injury prone, well, I still need to I understand that you can't push him as much as I would like, but I would like to get to the limits of it. Because, these guys make a lot of money, man. A lot. And I'd like to get a return on my investment. And most importantly, in Philadelphia, this is the process. So what's the process leading to? Well, the process is leading to what? An NBA championship. That's what it's leading to. So how are we going to get there? Well, we're not going to get there with a guy who plays, like you just said, 77 to 80% of the games in the regular season. But then when we get to the playoffs, physically he breaks down. We're not going to get there that way. Now we're going to get him as much help as possible, but physically, is he prepared to go deep into the playoffs? Physically, that's what I'm concerned about more than anything with him.
I think the thing that, and we're all kind of, I guess the real thing we're disagreeing on is what to correlate to the injuries. So I think what Chilltown and Ticket, your big thing is that throughout the season and off season, you have to prepare your body to sustain itself throughout the playoffs. So with that, you're saying that they got to play more regular season games, get their body more adjusted to taking hits, taking bruises, and playing through it, right? That's what you're saying. And I completely understand that. I think that's a very real thing, preparing your body to take those hits, things of that nature. But I just also think that that's not the core or main reason why Joel Embiid has had situations where he's missed some games. Though what Mar said, only missing 8 playoff games throughout his career, that's a lot less than I assumed. I think we all assumed that it'd be a little bit more. So I think he's been more available than we all thought too, which is another story. I just think, again, maybe come to the weight thing. Yes, do I think he could be, he looks like, I don't think he's ever been really out of shape. I don't think he's ever come in like, 17, 18% body fat. He's always looked like relatively shredded, 13%. Maybe he's under 10%. That'd be great. But again, guys like Tyson Chandler, Marcus Camby, guys who are super lean, always came in really, really skinny. They still had injury problems too. They were missing 50, 60% of games a lot of those seasons, missing playoff times too. So again, I just think it comes down to with Joel Embiid, it's just when you're that big, and again, to what Mars said, the game changing the way it is today, these big men being more out of the perimeter, the speed of the game. I think guys like Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, if they played in today's game with the speed and them have to, even run out a lot and try to close out on the three-point shooters or be in the perimeter guarding these guys, they're going to get more injured. Just because, as we know, guys who are 7 foot, 250 pounds plus, they're not supposed to move like that. The limbs and joints aren't supposed to last a lot with the movement.
Can I ask you a question, Jayla?
Yeah. For sure.
Can I respond to something?
Yeah.
You just said, Jayla?
Yeah.
You don't think 8 games is a lot of playoff games to miss during the season?
I mean, 8 playoff games, like how many playoff runs? But I thought he missed more. I just thought he missed more. Yeah.
How many games? Let me ask you a question.
He's missed 8 playoff games.
Missing the playoffs his whole career.
Say that again. I didn't hear that.
How many playoff games has Jordan missed? How many playoff games has Jordan missed?
Is it not? Is it none? I wouldn't be surprised if it was none.
Well, he played in 85. He played in the playoffs in 86. He played in the playoffs in 87. He played in the playoffs in 88. Played in the playoffs in 89. Played in the playoffs in 90. Played in the playoffs in 91, 92, 93. Played in the playoffs in 90. I don't think he ever missed a playoff game, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
that I remember.
Yeah. I think that there's two different players and two different body types. I think as a big man, as his size, I think I'd have to go look it up. But again, if you look guys today, big man of his size, I think other than Jokic, I just think guys are going to miss games again because the game perimeter oriented.
You said he missed 8 playoff games, Shady?
8, yeah, I said 8. He missed 8 playoff games.
To his career, that's a lot. If you think about it, that's a whole lot.
You went in and out.
My bad. No, I was saying that's a lot, especially if you're a guy that hasn't made a lot of deep NBA playoff runs, like into the finals. You had guys that made runs to the finals. How many playoff games did Karl Malone miss throughout his career? How many playoff games did Kareem miss? How many games did all these other greats who had deep runs throughout their careers miss in the playoffs? So 8 is a lot of games to miss in the playoffs in your career. That's a lot. I just wanted to correct that one thing. I disagree with what you had said.
I got you. So I'm looking at he started 53 playoff games, Joel Embiid, in his career. Yeah, 53.
He's played 87% of all playoff games he's been available to play.
So he's been available almost 90% of the games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll take that, especially in today's era too. I see.
I will too.
There's a lot of great.
I'll
take that. I'll take that. Yeah, I'm gonna take that.
But
Especially for
even
a guy that we deem is injury prone. On top of that, too, a guy that has
take
the injury prone bug to have that type of availability is just that's incredible. Honestly,
I thought it'd be lower. Like I thought he missed more games too.
I thought it would be too.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, let's go ahead and keep it pushing. I got my man Cruiser up here. Cruiser, what's going on, bro?
What's going on with y'all boys, man?
You're
Just chilling.
What's up, man? What's up?
What up?
I'll tell you
All right,
what's
Phil.
going on. I'll tell you what's going on, Cruiser. That Deshaun Watson, he ain't looking whack. He looking super
Oh,
whack.
my- Hey,
He ain't looking whack. He looks super whack.
that man looking disgusted. He might need to go back and get them massages again. He was playing better when he was getting the massages.
He
man.
was playing a lot better when he was getting the massages. And
Hey.
and down in Atlanta, y'all might have y'all quarterback down there. Y'all might have him. I don't know. I'm not going to jump the gun, but y'all might have your quarterback down there.
Cruiser, is that why James Harden was trying to get back to Houston?
Yeah, man. That's why he's trying to get back, man. James Harden trying to get back to them strippers, man.
Okay, yeah. Hey, Mark,
I got-
Jalen Green might sign a lifelong contract down there.
Hello.
Might be lucky.
Hey man, that's perfectly fine with me, man.
All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into these super chats, though. As you seen earlier, Dave M sent through a super duper major super chat. He just said "Fire show." As simple as
Thanks,
that.
brother.
Big 100.
Thanks, brother.
It is a fire show.
Henry Dirt said, "Can we please get a ticket versus World? Though it's been too long. Or Damo versus World. Damo needs to get G checked."
G-checks is crazy.
I must be new. I don't know what that is. What is
G checked. He trying to act tough. That's
No,
what
no,
he's
not
trying to do.
G-check.
He got punky,
No,
yeah.
not G-check. The ticket versus the world or Damo versus the world thing. What's that?
It's basically a show. It's kind of like open gym, but ticket is the one that people are coming up to debate with, and then they end up kind of getting cooked for like 5 minutes, and then we just rotate.
They want you to do one too, Damo. They want you to pull up.
Mhm.
Let me know.
All right. Ticket versus the World, Damo versus the World coming soon. Mike with the super chat said, "Create the best duo of all time using only one of the top 10 players of all time and another player who ranks right outside or who ranks outside the top 50."
Stephen
Jordan-
KD.
Jordan and Pippen. Jordan and
Stephen
Pippen.
KD.
Go
Jordan and Pippen.
right
Stephen
outside.
KD.
The
Oh, I'm sorry. Outside the top 50? Is that what he said? Outside.
Yeah,
okay.
that's top. Yeah. See, Mars just be just.
Okay.
Stephen
I'm
KD.
sorry.
I don't know. How is it a
That's
problem?
crazy.
Stephen
I'm
KD.
sorry. So one dude in the top 10, one dude in the top
Yeah.
10, and another dude outside the top 10. So in the top 50.
I'm trying to think of players who I'd put right outside the top 50. That's the.
Yeah, Pippen is in the top 50. Let's
Give
see.
me LeBron and Kyrie or LeBron and Dwight Howard.
I like that. Don't mind it.
Yeah,
I might
I'm sure
have
you
Dwight
do
Howard
like it,
in my
Jamie.
top 50. I'm gonna be honest. I might have Dwight Howard in my top
I
50.
James
think
and
Dwight
Anthony
Howard-
Davis, maybe?
Not the official one. He's not
Anthony
even in the
Davis is in
official
my
top
50.
75.
Anthony Davis in your 50?
Yeah, but the official top 75 is incorrect. I don't know what to tell you.
Is it? I mean, hey, man.
Yeah.
Top 50.
I got AD in my 50s. So I can't even do that.
No
Like,
spacing
LeBron
for a dude. It's a duo, dingus.
Go.
Like, we get 3 other shooters. Oh, no spacing with that duo. All right, buddy.
Yo, Cruiser, who you got, man?
Kobe, Steph Curry.
No, it's one in the top 10 and one in the top 50. So
Oh,
both of
outside
those
the
are
Not in the top 50. That's not in the top 50. Yeah.
That's not in the
That's not
top
top
50.
50.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna go. I'll go. Shaq is Shaq in the top 10. Some of y'all top 10 or
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shaq's in my top
If
10.
he's not in the top 10, he's definitely in the top 50. At least he should.
Nah, Shaq top 10. We go with
Okay.
Shaq top 10.
And you say I'll go Shaq and Jason Tatum.
Okay.
Stephen KD
I like
clears.
that.
Stephen
I like
KD
that. I like that. I like that.
I was thinking Shaq, maybe Paul Pierce.
You ain't got Paul Pierce top 50?
I was gonna say Paul
No.
Pierce, is he?
You don't got Paul
He could be
Pierce?
right outside. I don't mind it. He could be
I
right
don't got-
outside.
I don't think I got Paul Pierce top 50 either.
Is T-Mac top 50?
No.
Oh, no, but I'll put.
I got Paul Pierce higher than T-Mac.
I got Paul Pierce
damn.
over T-Mac, but I
Ain't
don't
no
know.
way.
So,
I feel like when they were both playing,
I think T-Mac peaked higher, but the lack of longevity is apparent.
I think T-Mac might have been better, but Paul Pierce is definitely greater. Hey man, I'm the professor of the GOAT and BOAT argument. If we're talking about greatness, Paul Pierce. If we're talking about just best,
that's what I'm saying. I think Tracy McGrady is the better player, but Paul Pierce longevity clears.
But I don't think T-Mac's top 50 all time because 7 years. You have to have a great 7 years to
that peak has to be crazy.
And I'm not sure. And some of those Houston years are questionable as well, in my opinion. So
I hear you.
Yeah, that's why
I'm for sure rocking with T-Mac and give me anybody in the top 10. I don't care.
Whoever T-Mac and whoever in the top 10 isn't better than Steph and KD. I'm like,
I don't know where the Steph and KD. Who told you KD is out the top 50? I like to know where it's coming from.
Why is KD not a top 50 player all time?
It's crazy that you guys assume I'm talking about KD is the non-top.
Okay, so why is Steph not a top 50 player?
I've never said which one was which. So
okay, so
really you guys
I got KD over Steph.
So let's get to the bottom of that, Mars. Why is Steph Curry not a top 50 player all time, Mars?
Let's talk about it this way. There's many players who, in the right situation, the perfect situation, would also have championships. So we got to look at it from the point of KD's career without the Warriors. I don't know if it's top 50. I don't know.
KD's still top 20 without the.
Here's the difference, though, Mars.
I don't know.
The difference,
MVP, some scoring titles, some all NBA teams.
He went to the Western Conference Finals like 4 times, Mars.
Yeah, I don't give you participation awards. Great, he was there. He lost.
Are we going off the fact that he didn't play for the Warriors, Mars? Is that what we're going off of?
I'm saying his legacy looks much more enhanced with a couple rings and finals MVPs that he got because he happened to join the best team in the NBA. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm like. If you take those away, is he really top 50?
Yes.
So I gotta.
Jalen, is Allen Iverson in your top 50?
He's in that like. Again, I'd have to like list the 50, but I'm gonna assume he's in my like 45 to 55 type of range.
Okay, so it's debatable for you. He also has 1 MVP and 4 scoring titles.
Wait,
they're the same person.
I know
so
you don't.
If you're saying Allen Iverson, then KD could be.
This accolade merchant Mars.
Here's the problem though with that. Here's the problem with that logic though, Mars. And the logic does sound great. The logic does sound great, Mars. Only except he actually did play for the Warriors, and he did win the NBA championship twice, and he did win the Finals MVP.
That doesn't boost you because you joined the best team in the league and won. That doesn't boost.
Actually, it does, Mars, and you know why? Because if he gets on that Golden State Warriors team,
would Paul George be top 20 because he joined the Warriors and won some rings? No,
maybe, and been a Finals MVP. Well, first of all, Paul George did not lead the league in scoring 4 times. He didn't do that. He didn't do those things that Kevin Durant did. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about a dude in Kevin Durant who he could have just jumped on that crew and just been another part of it. He actually did do his job. He was leading them in scoring.
That's why he's a top 75 player. Yes.
He did lead them in. No. I actually did my job when I got on that crew. So if we're doing that, then I got to do the same thing with Moses.
Pack him up too.
I got to do the same thing with Moses.
Yeah,
is that what I'm doing?
Moses
ain't a top 10 center.
Moses at least won an MVP on the Sixers, so you could cool. But he joined the super team too. Only one with the super team, made a finals appearance without the super team and lost. Kind of the same person.
Hey, Mars.
Fuck him up too. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Outside of your narrative right now, Mars, because you're trolling right now.
He is.
I know your basketball acumen is so brilliant. We talk about Kevin Durant game. It ain't top 50.
If you want to say from a talent perspective, is KD top
20?
50?
He's top 20.
I'll give you he might be top 50 from a talent perspective. I'll give you that. If you want to argue,
I ain't talking about talent. We talk about game, man. His game.
If you want to argue from a game perspective, there's not 50 better than him, I guess, because then are you going to really say Bill Russell was more talented or better than KD? I get it. Cool. But from a talent, game plus production standpoint, it's heavily carried by Golden State. We talk about KD's defense. Guess where it was best? Golden State. We talk about KD's efficiency. Where was it best? Golden State. We talk about KD in the playoffs. Where was it best? Golden State. Without Golden State,
he still was awesome.
Top
do you have
No, it
35,
wasn't cool.
I
It
agree.
wasn't cool. He was
Hey.
awesome.
He had
He
a
was
good
top
play. Hey, he had a good
5.
playoff run in 11 when they lost to LeBron. Was it 11 or 12?
12.
12.
He had a good
12
run.
and they
He
lost
had
in
a
the
good run.
finals.
They went to 12. They went to,
Well, hold on, Mark.
I'm
where do you
just
Charles
saying,
Barkley?
without a super team, it's just
Where do you have Charles Barkley and Karl Malone? What do you have Charles Barkley and Karl Malone in top 20?
Charles Barkley and who?
And
Malone, the guy from Utah, Mars. The guy from Utah.
Oh, number 32 from
Yeah, the
the
guy
Jazz.
from Utah, Mars.
Exactly. Wow.
Charles Barkley's a top 50 player. And number 32 from the Jazz is unranked.
I swear he's in your top 20. I don't know if
He's
I
unranked.
swear he's in your top 20.
Unranked.
But guys, chat. KD is top 20 without the rings too. If he never won those rings, he's still in the top 20. He's that dude. Watch.
So
him play
KD without championships, is he over Dirk all time? Yes or no?
Yes, he's a better basketball player than Dirk Nowitzki. Yes.
No,
Without the rings,
Jalen,
yes.
don't do that,
Yes.
Jalen, because
That's what
I've
I'm
heard
doing.
you explicitly say
Mm.
after you get the first ring, the rings after that don't really matter. Dirk has one, KD would have none. So explain to me why you would have KD over Dirk.
Well, after some more studying and learning about the process of how I'm going to rank players, I'm just not going to value rings as high. I think Kevin Durant is a
But
better
Dirk's
basketball player.
ring. Think about Dirk's ring. It's not just
That's
a
cool.
ring.
That's great. It's great. Hey, Dirk's top 20. Dirk's in the top 20.
No, but why is KD over him with no championships?
KD's a better scorer. He's a better defender. He's a better passer. And he's just better at basketball than Dirk Nowitzki in more facets of the game.
But he doesn't have a championship. And you
And
said,
that's
I remember you saying,
But
the
what
one
the value-
championship is the way in the door. That's what
Yeah,
you said. You said one is the minimum. You need
that's
one
true.
to get
You know
in the
what?
conversation.
I did
You said
say that. I did say that. But then we learned we had to take it back. We have to reanalyze.
It's because he beat LeBron.
situations.
It's because he
No,
beat
no, no.
LeBron. It's fine. It's because he beat LeBron. It's because
We
he beat LeBron.
understand.
It's fine.
KD has
I get it.
performed.
It's cool.
KD has performed in the playoffs. Yes, he's had some down moments, but throughout the playoffs, throughout his career, he's been an excellent playoff performer. So
Has he been
yes,
better than Dirk?
in the playoffs? About Dirk and him. You know what? I mean, I have to go. Probably yes. I think he's performed better in the playoffs than Dirk Nowitzki without a doubt. Yeah.
So Dirk with 2 finals appearances, playing in that Western Conference in the 2000s, which we know is one of the
Western
toughest
Conference.
conferences of all time.
Tough West Conference. Yeah.
One of the greatest finals runs of all time. One of the most efficient playoff scorers of all time.
So was Kevin Durant. If not, isn't he more efficient than Dirk Nowitzki? Oh, look it up. He's more efficient than Dirk Nowitzki as a scorer. If Kevin Durant's like top 5 in playoff scorers.
Relative to era or just generally? Because remember, Dirk played in one of the more inefficient
that's what I'm
eras of
saying.
all
Yeah,
time.
so relative to the era, maybe Dirk. I don't think it's not a huge disparity, if any at all.
It might not be, but Dirk's going against greater competition, having more playoff success, and one of the greatest finals runs of all
I
time.
don't know. KD was going against the GOAT every year.
That's fact. KD was going.
Bron and Steph until he joined Steph.
I don't know. So
Okay, first of all, LeBron was in a different conference, so no.
KD was going against.
You don't get that one.
Going against Kobe.
He
Bryant,
went against LeBron
Kawhi.
one
the
time.
GOAT. Kobe's the GOAT.
The Spurs.
He went against
Y'all just
LeBron
assumed
one
I was
time
talking
in the
about Bron.
postseason.
Kobe's the GOAT.
You said Bron and Steph. That's what you said.
I said the GOAT, Bron and Steph.
No.
Oh, so when did he go against Bill Russell? When did he go against Bill Russell?
He didn't.
When did he go
Mars.
against Bill Russell?
He didn't, Mars. He didn't.
Because
He did
Ron's
not.
goat is Kareem, so he's capping right now.
Nah,
So,
nah.
I don't know why you said that.
And light it, since everybody's switching things up, I got Kobe as my GOAT now.
Oh, that's respectable. That's respectable.
That's what's up.
Kobe,
Oh, so-
Kobe better than Jordan.
So I didn't KD play Kobe in the playoffs once. 2010.
2011.
OKC played them. I thought it was Dallas that played them.
Yeah.
No, they played him twice because
Well,
they beat the Lakers one year, right?
Yeah, after they won the NBA championship for the third time. Remember when they lost? Remember when the Lakers got swept? They beat Oklahoma City in the first round in a dogfight, by the way.
I think that was the putback game, wasn't it?
Mhm. Yeah. That was a dog
I
fight.
swear, the only series I remember is 2010. I might be bugging right now.
They played
I only
twice
remember
because the
the
Lakers beat them once, and then didn't they beat the Lakers?
No, from 2011, Dallas beat LA. I remember because Kobe's
Right.
ankle was the size of a grapefruit. Dallas beat them,
Yeah.
and Dallas played OKC in the conference finals. I
In
know I'm not
2011?
bugging right now. Yeah, I know I'm not bugging. I know I'm certain I'm correct. I'm checking this because
Yeah, maybe it was 2010 then. Yeah, maybe it was 2010 in the first round. I thought it was 2011. I thought it was the year after they won the NBA championship.
2011 NBA. OKC played Memphis in round 2, and in round 1 they played the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, because LA lost to the Mavericks. Yeah,
In
and then
2010.
And 2010 they played the Lakers in the first round and lost. I remember that. See, I was right one time. KD's played Kobe one time.
Okay.
I mean, let's just also bit
Here we go.
those 3 years that he wasn't with.
Nothing to do with basketball IQ, Mars. You just remembered that.
Because OKC played the Lakers in 2012 and Kobe lost, but we're gonna ignore that one for the sake of me being right.
See, I knew it.
Yeah, because Kobe's last ever playoff game was against OKC, but we're gonna ignore that part.
We knew it was 2, man. Come on, Mars.
Nah, I was right. I was right.
Yo, to move on to the next super chat though, Ticket, I need you to answer this question. You get a top 10 player and then you get a player outside the top 50, including KD. Who do you want?
Jordan and Jokic.
You have Jokic at 13.
It's outside the top 50 ticket. You get one dude in the top 10 and another dude outside the top 50.
His career ain't over with. So, like Fluent said, you can't rank him till their careers is over with. So, even though I would put him,
give me Jordan and LeBron. I win. Jordan and LeBron. I win. I won.
With that logic, I mean, hey.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I need Shaq and Giannis.
I was going to
take
Shaq and
Giannis, Jordan and LeBron. I don't know what to tell you.
Give me Curry and Hakeem, then. We doing it like that. Curry and Hakeem.
Hey, man.
Top 20 players.
Jordan and LeBron. I'm sorry, I won.
I saw a good one in the chat. Good one in the chat was Hakeem.
I don't know which one of them is. I don't know which one. Nah, that's not better than Vince and Steph. I don't know who's guarding Hakeem in that Jordan and LeBron pairing, but they're getting cooked regardless.
I'm gonna be honest.
Buttered toast.
I'm gonna be honest. Give me JaVale McGee to guard Hakeem. I'm chilling.
Talk about it.
Hey, Ron, I apologize. I thought you were talking about currently ranked players now. My bad. I thought you were talking about guys that was already ranked, because that's why I said Jokic, because he wasn't officially top 75 all time. That's what I thought that you meant.
Yes, it's more consensus who we believe is the top 50. So like a player who for the most part is a top 10 player or can be considered a top 10 player, then another player that can be considered top 50.
Okay, no, my bad. I was thinking you was just saying the guys that was already in the top 75. That's what I was thinking you were saying. My bad. If we just going how you think, Jordan and man, I would say Jordan and
it's a tough one, Ticket. Yeah, it's not easy when you think about the top 50. Outside the top 50 guys,
it's tough because it depends. It depends because when they did the top 50 and top 75, they're not saying like who's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're just saying these are the extra 25 that's added on to the 50. So if you had to rank them 1 through 75, everybody that's in the top 75, people might rank it differently. For me, second guy that's outside of the top 50, Jordan and Pippen, because I don't think Pippen's a top 50 player.
All right. I've settled on mine. I'm going to go Kobe and Kawhi. Kawhi not top 50, right? Cool. Yeah,
I'm taking
I'm not mad at Kawhi not top 50. He's definitely not top 30.
Kobe and Kawhi nasty, boy.
Olajuwon and Grant Hill.
What'd you say?
Olajuwon and Grant Hill.
I like that.
Ooh, Shaq and Penny.
Not mad at that.
I like Shaq and Penny too. Love it.
Thickest Pilot 9 said, happy to see Ticket TV back today. Let's get active.
Mm-hmm.
Marquivian Black said, peace to the panel. Salute Ticket, Mars, Damo Chill, host, and also salute to Jalen Carter.
Jalen gets no salute. That's tough.
He fixed it in the chat. I was watching. He fixed it in the chat. It's love. He's saluting solo after. He gonna show love.
Yeah, this one wasn't really too much love though, Jalen. Mike 824 said, real talk or dub, please. Enough Jalen on the panel.
Hey man,
he fixed that one in the chat.
No, he's still watching, baby. You still watching that? My name is still in your mouth. Right.
Y8MS says, someone tell Henry Durst to get off his knees, please. Okay, Jalen, you got some backup. You got some backup in the chat.
There it is.
ASAP Henny said, what are your thoughts on Golden State trying to get Dwight? How we feel?
Trying to build another super team. That's what it sounds like.
How effective is Dwight Howard going to be at 38 with the Golden
He's going
State
to play
Warriors?
no more than 5 minutes a game in the regular season.
That's what I'm saying. Like are we
5
gonna-
minutes.
He's going to play more than that. No
Golden
question
State
about
have
that.
no bigs, by the way.
I'm
Golden State have no
15
bigs.
to 20.
And that's not my issue, Mars. My
15?
issue is my issue isn't the bigs, Mars, more than him being effective. What exactly is his role on the crew? Because we know he ain't asking for the basketball. We know we're not going to him for buckets, right? We already know that. Can he still clean glass at 38 years old?
Yes.
Can he still protect the rim at 38 years old? Can he still help us speed the game up at 38 years old? Can he still help us?
He can rebound, he can set screens, he can roll to the rim, he can catch lobs. That's his role.
And he can foul.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Yes,
thing.
and he can
foul.
eat up minutes against Jokic
Right.
or Embiid and commit fouls. That's what he can do.
That's what he's
All
good
right,
for.
so if he can do that, then he is serviceable. But the idea that it's Dwight Howard, like this ain't Dwight Howard from 2012, right? This is not that dude. This ain't Dwight Howard that was on the Lakers in 2020. This ain't that dude. So we're talking about a 38-year-old who was in Taiwan.
Yeah, it's the new Dwight. Chill. He can stretch the floor now. Y'all seen him down there hitting
38-year-old
threes.
Dwight is still probably more athletic than Jonas Valanciunas right now. Like it's not.
Not
Dwight
right.
Howard is one of those guys that in his prime, in his peak, he was up here. He was super athletic. He was way up here. So coming down that mountain, you're still above a lot of guys that are like in their primes that's not as athletic than you. His role is
Dwight Howard was in the dunk contest like 3 years ago.
Was he?
Yeah.
When
I
Kobe
think
passed.
Dwight Howard good for matchup.
He did the
Like,
Superman and he did that, and then he had like the Kobe thing.
He literally
on
had the
Superman on
dreaded
his chest.
braids or whatever thing doing it with the 30.
He was on the Lakers in the dunk
Yeah,
contest. I vividly remember.
I remember it too. I just seen the clip on TikTok.
That's obvious. I don't watch the dunk contest nearly as much as I
Yeah,
used to.
he lost pretty early, but he was in the dunk contest at
Right.
like 35.
Dwight Howard to me will be, if they brought him on, he'll be good for if they can get to the playoffs, he'll be good versus a team like the Lakers because Kevon Looney won't be good, but I think he'll be good versus a team like the Lakers or something. But
He'll
I think
just be an
Kevon Looney better than him for what they do offensively with the dribble handoffs and stuff like that. I don't think Dwight Howard is good as Kevon Looney at doing that stuff and understanding that offense.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, he's genuinely going to set screens, try to block shots, foul, and rebound. 15 minutes a night. I wouldn't be surprised if they pushed it to 20. But for the most part, he's going to give you 15 minutes. He can give you 15 minutes. And that's all you need from him. You just need somebody else. You just don't need to rely on 2 6'9" power forwards playing center the entire season. That's just really what you don't need. Dario Saric and Kevon Looney should not be your only centers. You definitely need a big man.
Respect Trace Jackson Davis.
SR Big said, chill. Who's been able to play and still sit out?
Kawhi Leonard, Paul George,
You think
Ben
that's their
Simmons.
choice or the Clippers' choice?
I think that it was theirs and the Clippers. I don't think it was just a one-way street. I don't think it was just their choice, but I think it was a mutual thing. Their choice and the Clippers. Ben Simmons is another one.
No, he had mental health. So
He came to work though, huh? He was able to come to work.
he had mental health.
Yeah, he had mental health issues, which again, I don't have a problem with that. But he damn sure was able to come to work though and collect a check.
And
He couldn't actually perform, even though he looked happier outside the uniform than he did when he put the uniform on.
The uniform was contributing to the mental health. Oh, I'm not in his mind. But
he came to work though. Mm-hmm.
Yo, y'all go ahead and slap that like button. Get us up to 500 right quick. We will be getting into the Hornets soon, but I got a couple more super chats that need to be read. From Lay Jitsu, he said, when are we going to talk about Melo?
What about
LaMelo?
Oh, LaMelo.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about him.
I'm about to say, I hope you're talking about LaMelo because I don't know why we need to talk about Melo.
We'll get to him.
Respect Carmelo, please.
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo's an interesting one though too, because I feel like he's just been dropping down people's all-time ranks the longer he's been retired.
I don't know why neither.
He's been retired for like 4 weeks.
How high has he
Yeah.
been on people's all-time list?
I've heard people say Carmelo's top 25.
And Tracy McGrady's not? What?
No, we ain't doing that.
I'm just saying what I've heard. Don't shoot a messenger.
I know that, but no, we ain't doing that. No, we're not.
I genuinely don't think you should have Tracy McGrady too far away from Carmelo Anthony, in my opinion. That's just me though.
It's just the longevity. I think Carmelo has. That's the argument for Carmelo.
I think T-Mac's better than Carmelo.
I think T-Mac's a better basketball player than Carmelo too. I think T-Mac's a better basketball player than a lot of players, but Carmelo, like you said, the longevity, I guess, is what has people.
Yeah.
Was Tracy McGrady a better scorer? Was Tracy McGrady a better scorer than Carmelo Anthony?
Yep.
I think so.
I said that a bit too easily. I think he is.
I'm about to say you said that quick.
But
I'm like,
yeah,
am I
no,
forgetting
because I've been asked the
McGrady?
question before. I've been asked the question before, and I think T-Max, and I thought about it back then. And I think T-Max is a better scorer. So now when I get asked, I say it quick.
Jalen, you know we got robbed 2 years.
Like it was easy.
Yeah, we got robbed 2 years.
No,
He should be part of the 30,000 point club.
he should.
Yeah, longevity wise, he's scored more than T-Mac. But if you tell me both at their best, who I think is a better scorer, I think is T-Mac.
Look, like
is it because he does more? And the reason why I'm asking you that, Mars, is because I'm thinking about. That's what I'm saying. Because I'm thinking about a guy in Carmelo Anthony who, what he does, he was fantastic at it, and he didn't waste a lot. There was not a lot of wasted movement, not a lot of wasted time. Carmelo Anthony got right to it.
Yeah, a lot of wasted.
There was not a lot of.
Melo was surgical.
It was not a lot of extra.
There wasn't a lot of wasted dribbles. There was a lot of wasted time.
He was a ball stopper, 100%. He was a ball stopper, but he did get to it, Mars. There was no misunderstanding about what was going on. There wasn't a lot of dribbling through the legs and a lot of extracurricular nonsense. It was 18 feet away from the basket, squaring you up.
It was
going right after you.
Steps, though.
But he was going right after you, so there wasn't really a lot.
He'll get the ball with 16 seconds on the shot clock and shoot with 4 seconds left. Like, that's 12 seconds, even though he didn't put the ball on the ground.
I'm not.
He spent 12 seconds of the shot clock doing this.
He wasn't that.
So, I mean, he's wasting a bit of time.
He wasn't that bad, Mars. But I mean, we talking about a guy. What did he average? 25 a game for like 10 years, something like that. Something like that. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And I don't think that was just compiling because his team was going to the playoffs, and that was on the strength of him. So when I think about him as a scorer, I think about him as a finisher at the rim. Right, I think about him. I think about him in the mid range. He's definitely better than T-Mac in the mid range. I will not argue that. I think he was better than T-Mac in the mid range.
I think he's better than T-Mac in the mid range. Yeah.
And shooting the long ball, I'll give T-Mac the edge. If I do give him the edge, it's like this. I think Carmelo Anthony was better off the dribble in the mid range too.
See, I think off the dribble, I'd go T-Mac. I think T-Mac off the dribble. Basically
off the bounce.
The reason why I'm saying he was better off the bounce, Mars, because there wasn't a lot of. I'm a big fan of get to it, and Carmelo Anthony got to it. There was not a lot of extracurricular stuff. 1 dribble pull up, 2 dribbles, headshot fake pull up. He didn't do a lot of stuff to get to where he needed to go. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Tracy McGrady was a better athlete, and it looked better. But I think in terms of just a guy getting to where he needs to get to, getting to his spots, pulling up and knocking down a mid-range shot off the bounce, I think Carmelo Anthony was better.
How much extracurricular stuff was T-Mac really doing though? Like, he wasn't James Harden just dribbling for 22 seconds and shooting. He had more within him in terms of handle. He could do more, but he was a lot of hezzy pull up, 1 dribble off a screen pull up, 2 dribble head fake pull up. Like, he wasn't doing too much extracurricular either, in my opinion.
No, he wasn't. I brought up the point to say that I don't view a guy who does a lot of extracurricular stuff. I don't view that guy higher. Don't get me wrong; it looks good, and I do like it. But for a guy to just get to his spot and for it to just be 2 dribbles pull up and it's efficient, I'm cool with that. I take no issue with that at all.
I just think with T-Mac and Melo, it's like the peak thing. I think peak Melo as a scorer, like, is there? I don't think there's 10 guys in NBA history who are more skilled scorers than T-Mac.
Is there 10 more skilled than Melo? As a scorer? I'm not saying there's 10 more skilled scorers than Melo.
Luncho, what are you talking about? The fact that you don't understand me, Luncho, who is out the lunch, that doesn't mean that everybody else doesn't. You are in the minority. That's why you clueless. That's why the rest of your crew calls you Luncho. For that reason right there, because you clueless. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jalen.
No, it's all good. Hey, T-Mac might be top 5 skill scorer. Kobe said it best. He had all his moves, but at 6'7", 6'8". Like, who are the more skilled scorers than T-Mac?
First of all, Jalen, he was 6. First of all, I seen Tracy McGrady. He was 6'9". He was 8 bit up. Every bit up.
6'9". With that skill set?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man.
Yeah, but Melo, I'm not saying Melo is more skilled than T-Mac. I don't think he is. But Melo is in that top 10 most skilled scorers of all time.
He is, I think about he is, yeah.
Easy.
If I think about it now, I'm like, yeah, 10.
You could get it too, James B. 15-year-old ass. You ain't gonna do nothing either.
Ain't nothing wrong with being 15.
Nothing, boy. You ain't 15 no more, Mars. That's the problem.
There was nothing wrong with it when I was.
No, it wasn't.
All right, y'all. Winner with the super chat. Winner said, "Do y'all think teams need to kind of have similar rules like the Heat do for players in terms of weight and body fat?"
They don't have to, but if they want to, sure. Like if that's a requirement for a team, great. And then they might lose out on some free agents. If some players are like, I don't want you having to do this and this with me, like I don't want to be here, it's just too long. But if they feel like that's the best way to optimize their team, go for it. I think that's what these teams can do. Freedom to employ whoever they want to employ. They have a set guideline, cool. But I don't think it needs to be enforced throughout the league as in every team needs to have this. No, I think it should be optional for each team.
I think it's a good thing, to be honest with you. And not only is it a good thing, you've seen what it's produced for the Miami Heat. I mean, not just over this last 4 or 5 years where they've been in the NBA Finals twice and in the East Finals. I mean, the players that they've produced and how good they've been for the course of the time that they've been around. I mean, Pat Riley runs a tight ship. And the fact that he runs a tight ship, he gets the best out of all of his players. And because of that, I mean, it works. And by the way, Mars, they incentive like the weight restrictions stuff. There's incentives in that too. So like if I believe Tim Hardaway had an incentive in his contract where he had to play at 190 pounds. If he played at 190 pounds for the season, he got an extra $500,000 in his contract. So it's not like you're just playing at 180. You know, there's incentives to it when you're doing that. Shaq was the same way. Shaq had to play at 325. Like Shaq couldn't get higher than that, and there was an incentive in it too. So they won't allow you to get yourself out of shape. But if you do, it could ultimately mean your exit.
Marquivian Black got back-to-back super chats. Marquivian said, "Joel starting to look like Yao. Yao played 8 seasons." He also said, "Mars minus Yao's last season, he played 83% of regular season games."
Yeah, Yao played because Yao started his career playing like 82 like a bunch of times. So then when he started breaking down, it didn't take away from the percentages so much because he had seasons with like I want to say like 50 games. So because he was playing 82, when he played 50 and then 40 and then went back to like 80, it balanced out to like 84% or something. So he had more seasons where he missed a bunch of games, but then he also had more 82-game seasons and it balanced out. But I wouldn't really compare that to Joel Embiid, who's just more consistently around 75% each season over someone who's 100% one year and then 55% another year. I'd rather the 75% guarantee personally.
Yao's another player who I think couldn't do anything to avoid those injuries. It was just kind of at his size. It was going to happen.
I did that. It's crazy you bring that up. That super chat. It's crazy you bring that up because I often wondered that. I've never understood that. Why was Magic line not cleaner than it should have been, yo? Magic playing to Los Angeles, he should have definitely, that line should have been cleaner. I never understood why. It's like, yo, Magic, you play in Los Angeles. You in Hollywood. Yo, clean that line up, B. What's the deal?
It didn't stop him from getting what he wanted to get.
I was going to say, I think he was going to do all right still. Magic Johnson.
No, he didn't have a problem, but
they worried about lines back in the 80s?
Yes.
They still
other types of lines, yes. Other types of lines, yes. No, yeah.
Yo,
not those lines. He wasn't doing that.
Yo, Eddie Wilson sent through a super chat. That's wild. He said, "I sent this chat about Stat 2 days ago. Ticket, I've realized you were going to try to make a player's point valid, even if they are wrong. He's good, but he's not in the conversation. But it's not a conversation for him against top 10 or borderline top 10 shooting guards."
Talking about Ray Allen.
I'm Vince Carter. I'm
And
managing
it was Manu too.
Yeah, he was wrong about all 3 of them. It's fine. W confidence.
Dawson Brooks said, "Do you think LeBron will ever win another chip?" And one more question: peak AD or peak Karl Malone?
PKD or peak who? PKD.
Malone. Karl Malone. That's who.
Oh, number 32, my friend.
Yeah, number 32 in Utah. I think James's days of winning NBA championships are over. I do. And
I think this is last year's chance right here.
And I'll take Malone over peak AD any day. And as good as Anthony Davis was, 28 and 11 for 11 straight years.
Yeah, we're talking.
Who running around?
I would take peak AD though.
Okay, so so what's peak AD?
Peak AD. Yeah, I mean 2020.
So that's 26 and 8. You taking 26 and 8 over 28 and 11 for a decade?
There's no way Anthony Davis has 8 rebounds.
It's the defense though. You could say offensively. I mean, they're right there.
Yeah, it was 8 rebounds that year.
Yeah, the rebound is sure.
There's no
and
way.
And he led them in rebounding, by the way, Mars. Not only did he average 8 rebounds, he led them in rebounds that year.
9.3. 9.3.
Okay,
Respect.
So 9.
Respect Anthony Davis.
Everything else, Anthony Davis does better than Karl Malone. Even as a scorer, everything else, Anthony Davis is better than the man from Utah, Karl Malone, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, defensively, he's going to clear that. Even as like a mid-range.
Wait, what year are we saying is AD's best year?
Me personally,
I think it was 17, 18.
I would say 18 to 20.
That's what I was thinking.
1 year, I would say 2020. But I would say 3 years, 18 to 20 is AD's peak.
What was his MVP kind of year with New Orleans? What was that year?
Was it not 16 or 17?
He was, I want to say he was, it was a year they made the playoffs. He was
18.
Third, I think.
He was third. Okay.
It was
Hey,
one
I'm
of
not
those
saying
years
I'm looking at his career right now. There's no way 18 wasn't his best year. 28, 11 gave you what, his third highest block totals. Well, not totals, but blocks per game in his career. That was the best year shooting. This was in 18. This is when he shot 34% from 3. Yeah, the year New Orleans got booking, he was looking like a dog. This is like hands down his best year.
Which one?
That's what I say.
2017, 2018, and he played 75 games.
That was
18 to 20 to me is Anthony Davis's peak, and I think he was a top 5 player in the NBA every single one of those years. So that's where I view his peak. But most people say
double
1 year
guy
and
playing great defense and was shooting the best he was ever. He was having a Westbrook year of efficiency from 3 for his standards of being a bad shooter from deep. Yeah. That was, I would say, that's
as a mid-range shooter, is AD or Karl Malone better? So I'm trying to think. I feel like Karl Malone was still a strong mid-range shooter.
No, it's number 32 is probably better, but
yes.
I'm gonna pick Anthony Davis.
I didn't realize how little I knew about Karl Malone's game. I went back and actually watched. I don't know why I thought he was just this big ass guy dunking and flying up. Bro, he was a finesse. Yeah, money mid-range and was finesse. It makes sense why he played so long because he played
ran like a deer.
Like Randolph.
Okay,
finished around the basket with the best of them.
We're talking about basketball, Mars.
No.
Hey Mars, you gonna give
separate the art from the artist. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Hey Mars, you gonna give him you gonna give air tax, Mars?
Illegal defense tax?
You gonna give him?
I was saying, is Karl Malone one of the guys who benefit from that?
Crime prosecution tax. He wouldn't be on the court in today's era. I'm sorry.
It's crazy that you say that, Mars, because me and you had this conversation before. This came out. He was in the league when this came out. It wasn't like he was retired for 10 years.
In today's game,
this was in 2000 when this came out.
The league. Kevin Porter Jr. is about to get kicked out of the league, rightfully so. This man would not be in the league in today's game. He's getting error taxed. I'm sorry. He's getting error taxed. Has to.
I think it was 2000, either 2001, 2000 or 2001 was when this came out. And he was in the league.
No running for me, man.
It's interesting with that. I wonder when you say he'll get kicked out of the league right away. Sometimes players who are all NBA caliber players have a longer leash. So I wonder if
there's no way he survives that today.
No
way.
Jalen, do you know how long the leash would have to be to the NBA?
I hear you.
If today we are in 2023 and the word came out that Anthony Davis, when he was in college, got a 13-year-old girl pregnant, and that came out today, you think he'd still be in the league
in 21
plus 30?
He's gone. He's gone, Jalen. He is not in the league. No, there's no way that's happening. There's no way he survived that.
They're giving him Crispin Watt treatment. They're literally erasing him from history. Like you won't even remember Anthony Davis played in the NBA.
It would be like he never. It'd be like he never showed up.
Number 32 from Utah as well. That's the biggest issue I have. Like they know what's happening. The NBA still promote him at All-Star Weekend. They're still putting him on the camera. They're bringing him out to the games.
Now remember too, Mars. Now I will tell you this, Mars. I will tell you this because I lived in Utah with the college in Utah. They are very lenient about stuff like that. in Utah. I know it's nuts, but yeah, they're very lenient about stuff like that.
That's the Mormon country
in Utah. So he wasn't looked at like that because polygamy is a big deal in Utah. And when you talk about polygamists, you're talking about polygamists with young girls. I don't promote this stuff at all, but that's where he played, and they didn't frown on this. In fact, he was looked at as one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be wrong, in the 80s and 70s, I want to say there were still in a lot of parts of the country dating a 13-year-old when you were 18, 19 was I don't want to say common practice, but was still not as
Hey, you guys about to make me error text the whole
I'll tell you
1900s. I swear to God, like ain't no way. This is crazy.
All right, y'all, moving along. Dawson Brooks said a super chat that I already read. 8 Gates Lee said, without Golden State, KD just mellow with the MVP.
He gets it. He gets it.
This is why y'all gotta watch the game.
Is Melo top 50 to you guys? Is Melo top 50?
Yeah, Melo top 50.
He might be right at the end of the 50.
Like, exactly. And if it's debatable, then KD can be debatable. That's my point.
Top 20 Kevin Durant.
Brax with the super chat said, do MFers really believe Wilt had more bodies than MSG had seats? Habitual Willie lying is crazy.
I don't know.
I actually did the numbers, and the way it works from Wilt showing up into the league. Yeah, I did, Damo. The reason why is because it sounded ridiculous, and I had to go back and do some homework. So from Wilt showing up into the league to the day he retired, he would have to have been with 3 women every day.
That makes sense.
He would have to have been with 3 different chicks every day from the day he showed up to the league to the day he retired.
What number did he claim? What's the number he claimed?
Triple doubles?
20 stacks. 20 stacks.
All right. 20 stacks is obviously not real.
Which means that fill up the Staples Center. I keep calling it I know it ain't the Staples Center no more. So fill up the Staples Center with women. It's still 1,000 chicks outside waiting on him.
I'd have put his grandson.
Hey, Chill. Yeah. I can agree with that, Chill. Guess what? It's regular cats doing that, sleeping with 2 chicks a day. So
Cruz, wait a minute, Cruz. Cruz, we ain't talking about 2 chicks. We talking about 2 different chicks every day.
Yeah.
Not 2 chicks.
They were probably at the same time.
Yeah.
That's probably
every day, Mars.
Probably. He's 7-1 in LA and like
an NBA star, got the money.
Wasn't just LA. Hey, go.
He traveled
up north.
He was a Rolling Stone.
San Francisco, Philly.
He was on a national tour.
Damo, you really smashing every chick in the city. That's what
I'm just saying. First of all, I'm not Wilt Chamberlain. All I'm saying is Wilt Chamberlain lived in a time that was a lot different. Wilt Chamberlain lived in a time where they indulged in different type of activities and they did a bunch of different stuff. Wilt Chamberlain lived in a time. Listen, all I know is if I go look at what people was doing at like the OG Woodstock days, they was doing some wild stuff.
Some of you guys might want to ask your grandparents what they were up to in the 60s.
I'm about to say
they might be one of Wilt Chamberlain's 20,000.
Do not ask your grandparents about Wilt Chamberlain unless you want to be disappointed.
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't. If your grandma a Laker fan, don't ask about Wilt Chamberlain.
It's likely that at least one person in this chat has a grandparent who engaged in Wilt Chamberlain's.
That's wild.
Well, my grandmother ain't around no more, so I can't ask her.
You were around with Wilt Chamberlain, so it's probably just your kids. It's probably just your kids. So that's the difference.
Look, 20,000 seems a lot. Do I think he could have smashed like 3,000, 4,000?
20,000 is more than Damian Lillard has points in the NBA.
Yeah, 20,000 seems a little excessive.
I'm just trying to make sense. Like I said, Damo, 3 different chicks every day for 13 straight years. 14 straight years.
Wilt Chamberlain walked around spitting on people that asked them how's the weather up there. I don't doubt he was living a crazy lifestyle. Wilt was a different individual. I just the stories you hear about him, it's almost on Paul Bunyan time, and I promise you, he's genuinely a myth himself. So I do not doubt that he literally would have, no matter what city he's in, 3 women ready for him, or at the very least, he had a morning show.
What was wild as hell? Oh my God, what was so wild?
No, but forget 3. On a Friday night, he could easily have 5, 6, 7 all together.
But that's the 3. That's on average, Jalen. That's on average. That's on a Tuesday.
So some days
some nights might be
get
slow,
the
but then
off.
some nights might be accelerated.
Friday, Saturday, he might have 7-8. Just
So like actually, so like
that night he scored 100. Who knows? Who knows?
Hey, he said he was out all night that night. He said he didn't sleep that night. He said he was out all night that night.
I bet he didn't.
Exactly.
You know what?
Damo, you ain't smashing 3 chicks a day. I do believe it though. I can't say I really can't say. To be honest with you, when it comes to Will, I believe it. I do. I do. I believe it.
If we're just throwing out Otto Porter Jr., which I don't think is far-fetched, you got to factor in that if that's the case, it's a lot more little Wilts running around than we know about.
He cannot have no kids.
With 20,000 women, he's had to have at least 100 kids. There's no way.
Is this kid on TikTok who's saying that he's claiming that Wilt's his granddad? His name is like fucking Toby Chamberlain or some shit like that. Fucking 6'8" to 6'11", Buddy's athletic as hell, bang out all the time. He's like, yo, Wilt's actually my like great granddad. He's like my granddad. It is people. You will find people that's making the claim. Now, is everybody lying? No, I don't think everybody lying. Some people saying the truth. I don't think Otto Porter knows. I don't think Otto Porter even asked. Once the rumor came out, he was like, you know what? Let's not ask Aaron. Let's not ask
Aaron. I don't want what she was getting up to. I was just rather not know.
And all of these chicks, so you ain't never had no stalker issues. You ain't never had no kids. You ain't never meet no chick that was wife material with 20,000.
Still, not when you the stilt, baby. The stiltness. What? Come on, man.
And remember, there's no social media then. He was doing this all.
You just rotating them, Damo. That's all we doing. We just rotate them.
That was back in the days before social media. He owed 10 miles north, and they'll never see him again. Like,
exactly. No conversation.
It was a different time, man.
Yeah.
Will was going door to door, boy. Jehovah's Witness. Style.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, Cruiser. Like Cruiser just knocking on doors. You next. You next. Okay, you next.
What was going? Actually, never mind. Let me stop.
Stop, Bron. Right, chill out, yo. Chill out, Bron. See what we started?
Oh man. Winter said, Dub Damo, Otto Porter Jr. definitely his grandson. They look too alike. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into the Charlotte Hornets. Let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets, fellas. It's been a long time coming. I know everybody's been waiting for this moment all summer to talk about the Hornets, and it's finally here. So let's talk about LaMelo Ball. Let's talk about the number 2 overall pick. Let's talk about our expectations for them. And let's talk about the return of a new exciting duo. How do we feel about? I'm going to start with that. How do we feel about LaMelo Ball teaming up with Miles Bridges again? Are we excited to see this, or?
I am. As a person that's
Miles Bridges should be out of the league, but
I don't. As a person who now has a reason to go and watch Hornets games because that bald-headed menace does not own the team anymore, so I will not be supporting his pockets. I'll be supporting J. Cole's pockets, if anything. I get to actually go and enjoy Hornets game some bit. Like, you know, they're going to lose, but at least they're going to make it flashy. You get a nice little alley-oop, get a nice little play here and there, and who knows how good Brandon Miller is going to be too with that. Like, Brandon Miller likes to run the floor as well. He might get a little exciting as well. So let's not talk about the most exciting guy on the team, Kai Jones. Like, oh my God, this team just has so much excitement to it for a team that's going to lose almost every game.
Wait, with all that talent, you think in the East, do they have a playing shot?
Whoa. Who said anything about talent?
Easy.
I said excitement.
In 22, they were above 500.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that the Hornets are just one of the worst teams in the NBA. They didn't have LaMelo last season because he was hurt for a large portion of the season. I don't know how many games he actually played. I want to say he played like 40 games-ish at most.
I don't think it was that many.
He was hurt. Miles Bridges didn't play 36. Okay. Miles Bridges didn't play for obvious reasons. I still don't think he should be back, but he's back. So what can we do? Even in the year they won, they were above 500 and made the play-in. Gordon Hayward didn't play a lot of the season. He played, I want to say, like 50 games. Last season, he played 50 games. So assuming Gordon Hayward plays a similar amount, and assuming Steve Clifford is a better coach than James Borrego, who they had before, which I think he is, I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that Charlotte are a decent team. I think we're underselling the impact of LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. And the fact they have Mark Williams now is a big that they didn't have before. That's another good player for them.
Mhm.
Terry
Mars,
Rozier is still there.
You're
Gordon
right.
Hayward's still
You're
there.
right.
The team is okay. I'm not saying they're going to be 45 wins. I'm saying they might not be the worst team.
No, Morris. The Pistons improved 50 games. The Hornets improved 50 games. I meant to say 15 and 50 came out.
Yeah.
But
I'm not angry at the Hornets winning more than the Pistons next year. I'm just putting out.
No. I'm saying however many games that the Pistons improved because their best player was out, however many games the Hornets improved because their best player was out.
Who was the starting? Ryan, who was the starting point guard for the Hornets while LaMelo was out?
I really can't think of
Dennis Smith Jr.
I'm telling you now, Dennis Smith Jr. is astronomically better than Killian Hayes.
Oh, 1,000%. Dennis Smith Jr. is an NBA player.
He actually plays NBA defense. Well, at least better defense than Killian Hayes.
I think he's in Brooklyn now. Am I?
Yep.
So
I think
if
the
Dennis
Charlotte
Smith
team,
Jr. suits up for the Pistons last year instead of Killian Hayes, they win more.
If what happened?
Yeah,
They win more.
They win like 19 instead of 17.
All right, man. What are we doing? Come on.
Listen, you know what, Ron? If you truly believe that the Hornets, with the additions they made with the young players, the Hornets bringing having LaMelo actually healthy, because that is a good point. They won 35 games last year without him being as healthy, and with them having PJ Washington developing more, and you have the veteran leadership of a Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. If you truly believe that Mark Williams is going to take this a step forward, like I believe with Jalen Duren, then that's absolutely fine. But I want you to actually believe it. Don't just say it because, I believed in the Pistons, so if we believe in the Pistons, we believe in everybody. Now, I want to hear your actual expectations for these guys on this team.
I mean, you just mentioned all the players. I think LaMelo, Melo's going to be a borderline all-star caliber player, going to be in that conversation to be an all-star. You got Miles Bridges again, who I think going to be he was a 20-point guy before he got suspended, whatever the case may be. Another year, PJ Washington, I think he can get you 15 and 7, 15 and 8. Gordon Hayward, if health works out. Maybe the rebound is a little high from 15 to 7. And then you mentioned Kai Jones, Brandon Miller, young guys, see their development. You mentioned Mark Williams. Terry Rozier is still going to give you, I think, close to 15 points. In some nights when guys are out, he can easily give you 20 a night. I think the Charlotte Hornets are better than
Terry Rozier averaged 20 last season.
Okay. So I wonder just with all these pieces back. Yeah, I think with Bridges back, and maybe Brandon Miller, depending on how much he plays, if he takes a little step back scoring wise. But again, I think Charlotte is going to be a better team than the Pistons. They're going to be better than the Wizards. I think they'll be better than the Pacers. I think they're going to be better than my Toronto Raptors. I think they'll be better than the Magic.
Not your Toronto Raptors. Calm down.
I'm just saying. So, look, I think they're easily a play-in team, and they could really start pushing like for a playoff spot. Am I going to pick them over the Bulls, Hawks, Miami, Nets? No, but do I think it's a huge gap between those teams? No. So I would not be shocked if I think for sure they're a play-in team. I would not be shocked if they're 60. And
Steve Clifford teams play defense as well. That's one thing Steve Clifford will do. He'll get his team to play defense. So
they can score points.
The issue for them, I think last year they had the worst offense in the league. I think LaMelo and Miles Bridges will help that. Brandon Miller seems to be the most disrespected number 2 pick I've ever seen. Like, the amount of times I've heard Scoot Henderson being called the number 2 pick in the draft is insane. Like, everyone just seems to ignore the fact that Brandon Miller was actually the second pick in the draft.
He's going to start, right? Brandon Miller going to start for sure?
I assume he'll start.
Okay.
I think Gordon Hayward will come off the bench. I assume, but I don't know. But I think if their defense steps up just with them having more pieces available to them, Mark Williams taking a jump, and then offensively they get their best offensive player and one of their 3 or 4 best offensive players back in the lineup. 40 wins is in the realm of possibility. That's all I'm saying. And I think they get done a disservice because of how bad they were this past year. And people just think that they're going to be that bad again. I don't think they're just going to be terrible. So shout out to Charlotte.
I don't think it's people disrespecting the fact that he had a bad season there. Soon is going to happen again. I think it's all the dumb shit that you see from the team off the court that makes you say there's no way this team can be productive when it's actually time to play. When you have a situation where you got people holding on to the PJ Washington and Brittany thing, you have Miles Bridges and his off-court issues, You have LaMelo Ball doing LaMelo Ball extracurriculars all the fucking time. Just anytime you see him in headlines or you see a clip of him, he's doing some shit where you're like, damn, is his focus really basketball? Which I think is crazy, but it's definitely realistic. You see some shit make you question it. And on top of that, now you add, I mentioned Kai Jones. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to what's Kai Jones.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Kai Jones, I don't want to be the guy that says he's on something and he's just tweaking out. But Kai Jones is on something and he's been tweaking out. Like,
What's he doing? What's he doing?
Oh, it's his burner account. It's his burner account.
On his actual account, he literally was on live in a drenched in sweat in the middle of his kitchen. And at first you're thinking it's a language barrier. And then when you got people from the Bahamas like, nah, cuz I don't know what he's saying. Then it's like, all right, bro. He's just mumbling into the camera talking about, oh, he doesn't care if he's getting traded. Then he goes on the internet and he's downing Nick Richards and Mark Williams' abilities to up his own. They're like, oh, you're getting traded. Oh, you're going to trade me instead of Mark? I want you to see Mark go up with his left hand and right hand, both hands. Can he? I can. Like, he's on the timeline doing that before the season starts. If we've had these conversations about the John Morants and the Dylan Brooks antics and Victor Wembanyama's hair,
what he's doing is
wild.
you,
what he's doing is way worse for that locker room and way worse for the chemistry of that team. So with all that going on, and you already feel like and it's already this notion that if people think that the Grizzlies are a dysfunctional team because of John Morant and Dylan Brooks alone last year, I don't know what you would think of these hoodlums in Charlotte that just do everything else other than basketball. And now you add Brandon Miller, who has his incident in college that is going to be held over him. If you think they're going to let that slide, they're not. I'm not going to hold it over him, but that is going to be a dark cloud on his head going into the already crazy dysfunctional Charlotte franchise. So I feel like that stuff is going to derail him.
Why do we say the as you would call him, Damo, the ball head menace? Why do we put it on the ball head menace? But then we talk about what Danny Ainge did in Boston. Like, we don't even know who the owner of the Boston Celtics is. Why do we put it on Jay, but we don't put it on the owner in Boston?
Every time you see a clip of the Charlotte Hornets, right after a player does something good or bad, they cut right to the ball-headed menace. Hell, there's even a clip of him when Malik Monk made a bad play. He's slapping him in the back of the head. He is more active than Mark Cuban in terms of owner. Like, in terms of the owners in the NBA, he is one of those owners that genuinely makes his face known as being, and makes it seem like he's a part of the franchise. It's been like that for as long as I can remember. He's taking pride in being an owner. Every game you watch, they're cutting to him in the press box or next to the bench. They're interviewing him about what's going on with the team. He's been very active in terms of an owner, so the responsibility goes on him. Does anybody know the general manager, the president of the Mavericks? No.
I was just about to say that. I don't even know who the general manager of the Mavericks is.
But if there's something going on, the first thing you're going to say is, well, shit, they got Kyrie. I hope Mark Cuban can make him feel comfortable because Mark Cuban lets it be known he is involved in the basketball operations with that team. So you give him the nod of, okay, you're the owner. We're going to assume it goes through you.
Hey, Damo, is MJ completely gone, or is he still there though? Is he completely?
I think he sold.
He sold the majority. He sold the majority stake of his.
He's gone. He won't be at Charlotte games. Yeah, he won't be at Charlotte games.
Yeah, okay, I think he's still like a minority owner, if anything. But I don't think he sold everything. But yeah, he sold majority of it though.
Right. Yes, he still is. So, I mean, this team did win 27 games last year. So as bad as they were, that's with LaMelo Ball missing more than half the season. So with LaMelo Ball now playing, I don't know a team that got a 23-8 guy who's gotten better every year. When you get this guy back in the lineup, there's no way that this team doesn't get better. So you add Brandon Miller, who I think, even though what we saw in the summer league with him being clueless, I think that they're going to use him in a different way. I think he's going to be a better transition player. I think he'll be a better scorer just with Melo setting him up. I don't think he's going to have to do a lot. They're not going to run a lot of sets for him. I think Melo's going to be setting him up a lot. Any of you guys know me. You know I'm a big Mark Williams fan. I dig him. I think he gets better. I would not be surprised if Terry Rozier was moved for a younger piece and they continued to build around. Maybe they get a first-round pick for Terry Rozier. And I mean, the word on the street was, and this was when Jordan was running the crew, the word on the street was Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward for Russell Westbrook, which would have been a mistake because I was thinking about LaMelo Ball and how important he was to that unit and him having the ball in his hands. But I think that they could possibly move off of Terry Rozier and end up getting a first-round pick and just getting somebody younger, because I don't feel like this crew is as bad as its other teams. But I think that getting your 23-8 guy back in the lineup, who I feel like is going to be better this year, getting him back, I think that's going to make them a lot better. And I think he's going to make Mark Williams a lot better this year too.
Hey, chill. You think Terry Rozier worth the first though?
If Rudy Gobert went for 4-1s, we could get a 1 for Terry Rozier.
I think Terry Rozier could help a lot of teams. I think he's still.
I can get 1-1 for him. They handing out. They giving up ones like it's a bucket of extra crispy. I can get a 1 for a guy that's 20 a game. I can.
Yeah.
Forget just a draft pick. I think they can get, if they can get some shooting next to LaMelo, like trade Rozier for like a stronger 3-point shooter. I think that'd be beneficial for them too.
And I'm also thinking, Jalen, about if I'm getting younger. So what if I call up a team that's in contention and they're willing to come off one of those first round picks and give me one of their young kids because they're trying to win it, and maybe they can add what Terry Rozier gives them. I can probably get a 1 in a kid from one of them, from Denver, not maybe Denver or the Lakers, somebody like that. I can probably get a 1 from them. It might be a late one, but I can get one.
No, 100%. I think Terry Rozier, especially at the trade deadline, he's a guy.
They have James Najee, right? Or am I bugging?
Nah, I think he went back. He went back home. He said, "I'm not playing in this shit."
He saw the summer league or something.
Yeah, he saw the summer league and seeing how shit was being ran, and he was like, "Yeah, nah, I'm good. I'll dip. At least I don't know. Unless they cut him, I don't think they cut him. Yeah, he went back home.
Nah, damn.
Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier will be interesting.
So different.
Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier will be interesting. What they do, at the deadline, because I think they'll be in playoff contention or even in a playoff season. So I wonder if they're playing well, if they keep them, let them ride them out for the season, or if they try to flip those two guys, like I said, for a pick, maybe, or a young pick that can still help them. I don't think they want to go full on rebuild or anything. Right. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with Gordon. I think Gordon Hayward's last year, the expiring deal.
Yes. And he ain't that old. He's 33.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's not that old. He's still got some years left, I feel like. He's just been riddled with injury. If you think about, I think it was 2 years ago. I mean, they were in, like, I think Mars mentioned it. They was in the play-in tournament. But before Gordon Hayward got hurt, they was one of the top 6 seeds in the East before he got hurt. So if he can stay healthy, he's still a solid vet for them. Terry Rozier gives them good minutes. I'm a big fan of Mark Williams. That 27 games could go to 35, 37 games. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. That coach, what is it? Not Clifford Scott. Clifford.
Steve Clifford.
Steve Clifford. Okay, that's his last name. He's not one of them dudes that I'm thinking he's a terrible coach. He just was working with what he had last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they won 10 more games.
The year before that, though, before Melo got hurt, what was they off? They
was in the play-in tournament.
That offense
was playing team.
That offense was pretty good that year. Won it.
Yeah.
From top 10.
Yep.
Their defense was what was not good.
Yeah.
Right.
But this year, their offense was the worst in the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Miami
get everybody back. That offense is gonna be good again this year. They can play a little bit of defense.
And if it wasn't Miami, they was right there. If they weren't right there, they was literally right there. So, PJ Washington, I think he improves. LaMelo makes them so much better. The way I feel about him is the way I felt about his brother in Chicago. Like how much better would the Bulls have been had Lonzo been healthy? They would have been so much better had he been healthy. I feel the same way about LaMelo. How much better is Mark Williams? How much better is PJ Washington? How much better is Terry Rozier? How much better are these guys with LaMelo Ball in the lineup? They're so much better. And I don't think that 27 wins without LaMelo Ball in the lineup, with him in the lineup, I think them 27 wins go to, you can realistically say 35, maybe 40.
We got Dale in the building. What up, Dale?
Hey, Aladdin.
In fact, what up, Dale?
What up,
What's the word? What's going on? Damo.
What's good?
I thought Cruiser. What's your full name? My fault.
Cruiser Nation 3.
Oh, Cruiser Nation. I thought you was the midget football host.
No, that's not Bama. That ain't,
Yeah.
that ain't Bama. No,
Midget is crazy.
Oh, man.
That ain't Bama. Bama is my man. Bama is my man too. Love Bama. Bama is super dope.
Yeah, I know. He is dope. I just thought that's who it was.
Love Bama. 100%. That's my man.
Yo, Dale, what's good with you? We talking about the Charlotte Hornets today. Are you excited about them at all going into next season? Is there anything that you like about the Hornets or that you're looking forward to?
I'm indifferent about the Charlotte Hornets. The only good thing is that
I'm sorry.
I got a
For folks
couple
that
of
don't know, indifferent means I don't give a you know what.
yeah. I got a couple. My young boy Nick Rich is on the squad, and my brother lives in close to Charlotte. That's about it for the most part.
Hmm.
Yeah, it ain't.
That's
It ain't. Yeah, it's. Yeah, please.
Other than that, it's nothing to look forward to in Charlotte,
No.
basketball wise.
Didn't
Dale,
Mike-
you gonna eat them words too, Dell, about RJ Barrett this season.
Sure.
I know you hate him. You gonna eat them words about him.
But I'm a Knicks fan, so if that won't be bad words. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm a Knicks fan, so I know if he's good, it elevates New York, so that's fine with me. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm,
But it's
yeah.
just if RJ was better, people blame all on Randall. If RJ was better as well in the playoffs, the Knicks would have did better.
Yeah.
He's very God. Spare me.
Yeah, though, fellas. So on the Hornets, I don't hear guys talking about Miles Bridges enough. I think Miles Bridges, like we're talking about the return of LaMelo, and that's obviously huge. He's their best player, undoubtedly. He's their franchise cornerstone. But yo, you got to factor in what Miles Bridges did 2 years ago. The 20 points that he brought to the table, the explosiveness. They missed that a lot last year, and I think that coupled with LaMelo really gets them, to where they were 2 years ago, if not better. Miles Bridges is only 25. He's getting better year by year by year. So I think this actually even looks better than what he did 2 years ago. Just because he sat out doesn't mean he wasn't working.
Now, separating the player from the actual act, I appreciate the courage that he had to tell Jordan, yo, you hold on to that money because I'm worth more than $40 million. I think it was like a 4-year deal for like $40 million. He was like, you hold on to that money because I'm worth more than that. So before the incident with him and his ex-wife, he ends up playing like a max player. He was averaging over 20 a game, right? He was averaging over 20 a game, and Charlotte was a play-in team. Now he gets himself in that nonsense. They're out of and he's out the whole season. And with him being out the whole season, not due to injury, he's gonna have to prove that he still has the goods. Now, don't get me wrong, Ron. He's only 25 years old. He's still young, so the athletic ability is still there. The question is can he still play at a high level after being off a whole year without injury? Because there's a difference between playing without injury and being held out. The mental aspect of that, that could be crucial. So I think he's going to be good for them. I'm just wondering what kind of mentality he has coming back into the season. Is he going to be a dog? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be passive? Because I don't want to ruffle feathers or anything like that. What kind of player is he going to be coming back? How are they looking at him?
He might start slow.
The year he averaged 20. No, go ahead. Yeah, he can start slow.
Yeah, he might start a little slow and then, work his way back into it because he did miss a whole year. So, sometimes people just can't just jump back out there like that after missing a year.
That's what they're expecting too, Cruiser. That's what they're expecting.
They're going to be expecting just be off the rails. You know what I mean? You know how people get, man. They very impatient. They're going to be ready to write him off. Oh, man. But, man, I think as the season progresses, as he get more acclimated to the basketball game, I think he'll get better as the season goes. He's a good pick. He's a good pick good player for that team.
The year he averaged 20, was he second in the team in scoring?
He almost made the All-Star team that
year.
He was right on that. He was right on the cusp of being an All-Star that year.
People thought he was the All-Star snub. But I want to say, is it a shock if he leads this team in scoring in the sense if LaMelo takes maybe a step back, more of a facilitator role, maybe takes his shots down a little bit? He's still going to get you 18, 19, 20, whatever the case. But if Bridges averages, you say he averages 20 the year that he got to play a full season. If he averages 22, 23, I wouldn't be shocked. I think he's probably the best scorer on this team looking at it right now. I think look, he has a quote unquote bag. He can score from the mid range. I don't remember his 3-point shot. Can he score from?
No, he's a little better than three than I think people give him credit for.
Yeah. So I think he can shoot the 3 ball, got the mid range, can attack the basket. I wouldn't be shocked if he was their leading scorer. So I think he's a big piece for this team, and he can really make a difference.
I think LaMelo is their bucket getter. If we're going to talk about bucket getters, I think LaMelo is definitely their bucket getter more than anybody, but he's also their primary distributor too.
Exactly,
so
I think
with him.
Yeah,
Terry Rozier is their bucket getter too. But the problem we having with him, Mars, is like he's small, and you could be small and be a bucket getter. You know, Kyrie Irving's small. He ain't super nice with the pill like Irv. He don't finish around the rim like Irv. He's got a really good mid-range game, no question about that. But if I'm relying on Terry Rozier to be my primary bucket getter, nah, I think we good. I think we're gonna have to go in a different direction.
LaMelo got to work on his mid-range too.
I can't name many people with a better handle than Terry Rozier, in my opinion.
He's nice. He and I think that's largely due to him being small. He had to be nice with the pill. I mean, he ain't Irv nice with the ball, but
definitely not. But he nice.
Terry is a streaky shooter too. He's a streaky
top
shooter.
15.
Do you think? I think LaMelo, if he take a role of, sometimes he takes some weird shots. You know what I mean? Sometimes his shot selection be off. I think if his decision making get a little bit better and become more of a, I don't want to say distributor because I don't want to water down his game, but more of a facilitator and get his like 20-21 and get around about 21 and 10 and then really set the table for the team and let those guys like Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, those guys set them up. I think, man, they could be a really solid team. But sometimes Ball, his shot selection killed me sometimes. I think his brother was a little more better of a point guard. I think
of course.
LaMelo got a more of a two guard in him. You know what I'm saying?
Shoot first kind of guard, kind of
but
more of a combo guard than he is a point guard. But I think if he can back his game up just a little bit and help other guys around him, I think they'll be a better team because they got the pieces. They got now Cruiser. Yeah. Now, Cruiser, you wouldn't be watering down his game if he distributed more. Because if you think about, I don't know, a quarterback, would you water down a quarterback's game if he had more dink and dunk in his game as opposed to a dude who just consistently threw the long ball? I don't think that's watering down his game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing with LaMelo. Like in fact, I think that if he's distributing more, that's enhancing his game.
Oh, that's what I was saying. I was saying when I was saying I didn't want to make it sound like I was saying he was watering his game down. You know what I mean? I was saying, like you saying, Chill, if he became more of a distributor, that's what I'm thinking. Like some of them shots he take, those 3-pointers he take, you know, sometimes maybe try to find a way to get somebody else involved.
For those very difficult 3-point shots he does take, kind of the step backs and all the, you know, right off the dribble. Like he takes a lot of tough 3-point shots, but he still makes a good amount. Like he still shot 37%. He shot 10 threes a game. I mean, so
that's a lot, man. To be honest,
that is a lot.
I'm not a fan of that.
Crazy.
I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of that.
Get those threes down to 6, and they better be open threes.
Well, you know,
Cruiser, he's not shooting no open threes.
That's what I'm saying.
Get that off your mind.
He's shooting crazy. How many of those threes are designed? How many of those threes are designed in the offense? And how many of them threes is he taking in transition? How many of those shots are bad shots? Well, if he's taking 10 threes, I'm guessing 30% of them are bad shots. 30% of them are step backs when you got to do it in your face. You ain't nice enough to be taking 30-footers. Not you. You're not nice enough to be shooting 26-footers.
Why is it 20 minutes on the Hornets? I just really want to know that.
Say that again, Dale.
We talk about the Hornets too much. He doesn't.
Why are we talking about the Hornets for 20 minutes? Seriously,
that's the team that we talking about today. Every day.
I know this. Some teams deserve to be skipped, bro.
The Hornets don't deserve to be skipped.
They're a playoff team. The Hornets are a playoff team.
But hold on, the Hornets don't deserve to be skipped though. Why do they deserve to be skipped?
Skip. I blame team on like. If you don't got like more than 8 national televised games, you deserve to be skipped.
Oh, so if you're on TV a lot, so like the Phoenix Suns, for example, if they're on TV a lot with KD,
you could have said the Lakers. You could have said the Lakers. You could have said you could have said my favorite.
I'm not going to say the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not going to say the Knicks. I'm going to say the Phoenix Suns because
why?
Because they got KD and that's your man. That's why.
No, that's like me bringing up any team Shaq played for. I wouldn't do that.
Yes,
you want to talk about other stuff?
Yes,
no, I wouldn't.
Wait.
I've never brought up Shaquille O'Neal to you. Not once in my life.
And why not? You should.
No, because come on, man. That makes no sense.
So you feel like we should skip the Magic. So there shouldn't be no Magic talk.
Hold on.
Which is tomorrow's episode.
Why are we talking about Cole Anthony?
we wouldn't be talking. I mean, I think.
Yo, hold on.
Gamo, I'm telling you this right now. I'm from the Northeast. I'm from where Dell from. They think that the world is revolved around New York, and if it's not going on in New York, it ain't going on nowhere. We can't talk about the Charlotte Hornets. We can't talk about the Orlando
5
Magic.
teams outside of the New York teams. I didn't even say the Knicks.
Give me a break.
We could talk about the Bucks. Listen.
It's another episode.
Let me explain something to you. And people in the chat talk about this, that, and third. Of course, you always got to try to be different and try to be fair. And I love it. But let's be serious now. You'll never put on the television and it be First Take on Disputed and they're having a whole show dedicated to the bum-ass Charlotte Hornets. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
That's why we're better.
But that's the problem. That you don't think that's a problem?
No.
So
no.
So case in point for the Magic, because this is crazy. And for you to say, for the first name you say is Cole Anthony, just proves my point that I was talking about earlier. With they need to actually have more they need to actually put some damn effort into promoting these young players, because it makes no sense for you to be a guy that is informative that you are about basketball to think, oh man, I can't talk about Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner, two of the premier young guys in the league. For you not to want to talk about
them, I would say Paolo's premier. I would not say Fran is one of the premier young guys in the league. I just wouldn't.
Why wouldn't you say that, Dale? Why would you say Franz is one of the premier? Even though we talking about a dude who's almost a double guy. Why wouldn't he be one of the more premier players in the league? Who, by the way, is on a young team that's getting better? And the idea is to promote young players.
Honestly speaking, I don't know much about Franz, so
that's
why
the problem.
You don't care about. You don't care, and there we go. Because First Take's not talking about him, and because First Take,
it's because me. It's what I like.
No, but you use First Take as a reference. You just said
and undisputed. I'm undisputed.
Okay, how do you know what you like if you don't watch them?
Hold on, and Gilbert Arenas and everything I watch. Everything is based. No, I didn't say Paolo. I said Franz. I said I know Paolo. Definitely said that. You weren't listening.
But you're a basketball mind. Why would you not be interested in watching good basketball? Can you name me 5 players better than Franz under the age of 21?
How old is Franz?
21.
That's young.
Well, under the age of 22 then. So 21 and younger.
18 a game last season.
Oh, that's what's up. That's nice.
Good passer, good playmaker. No, he's nice. You gotta watch the Franz. He's nice.
Hey, I mean, if MVP of the World Cup, I mean, or the
that was what's it?
Listen, why would you not want to promote that?
Hold on.
Why would you not want to promote that?
Anybody could promote what they want. This is first and foremost, 100%. I watch so much basketball that I'll watch them when I feel like I have to watch Franz Wagner. I've been talking basketball for so long as why we have to talk about Magics, why we have to talk about Charlottes, why we have to talk who else? Name another Detroit Pistons, because it's probably a Pistons episode is coming up.
We already did it.
I already did it. Minnesota. Y'all going through the ringer, and that's lovely. That is lovely. 100%. If I looked at the docket, I would not come up here to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. I'm sorry.
That's why I didn't send you that, Dale.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Charlotte Hornets episode.
Yeah. And I would not, because I asked, he did not respond. It's a reason he didn't respond.
Why not talk about the team that's representing the Hoop State though? Like, I don't get it.
Carolina that's representing what?
The Hoop State. North Carolina, 704. The Hoop State. That's what we are. The Hoop State.
Oh, wait, you're from North Carolina?
Yes, I'm from North Carolina. Born and raised Salisbury, from the floor. Yeah.
Listen. Hold on. Wait.
Born and raised.
It makes so much sense now in your approach. Why? Oh, I listen. Another thing. I love North Carolina. I went to prep school out there. I went to Lawrenceburg. I went to prep school in North Carolina. I didn't know North Carolina was the hoop state though, but that's what's up.
Yes.
Like why are y'all the hoop state?
Jordan from North Carolina, Dominique Wilkins from North Carolina, James Worthy from North Carolina. I mean, I could keep going.
Wait. Yes. I saw this. First of all,
prestigious college basketball, prestigious high school basketball. But go ahead.
John Wall from North Carolina.
Jordan was born in Brooklyn.
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul from North Carolina, correct?
Brandon Ingram. Zion's from North Carolina,
but went to school in South Carolina.
I mean, hey man, sometimes you gotta get out the hood.
All right, now, back to North Carolina. Yeah. I heard who was it that said that James Worthy was better than Michael Jordan college thing.
Right here, baby. We right here.
Oh.
James Worthy was better stopping. People will be like, "Oh, James Worthy said Michael Jordan better." We
Wait,
saw
you
what
mean-
happened during that
You
season.
mean, you meant
James
that
Worthy
freshman
was
year.
the player
That
Jalen,
freshman
Jalen, you
year.
know that Jalen, you know that
Yeah,
Jordan
when
was
they
a
won the
freshman.
same team.
The
That's what you
year
meant.
they
When
won
were on
the
same team.
championship.
Yeah,
Yeah, when they
okay,
won the
okay.
championship.
So
James was-
James,
he was
so
that guy.
okay.
James Worthy, the college player of the year, who was a junior, and Michael Jordan, who just got out of high school.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I
That's
agree.
what
I
I'm
agree
talking
with
about.
you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. No,
WJ,
because
WJ.
you know how y'all do the little cutting up. I thought y'all meant like because Michael Jordan college career is one to behold itself. So, but you were just talking about that freshman year. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Hold on for a second,
Michael
Dale.
Jordan's
James
college
B.
career,
Just so
though.
you know, Jordan was born in Brooklyn. He lived there for 1 year as a baby, and then he moved to North Carolina. He was born and raised there. That's it. 1 year old. He
No,
moved to
just
North
raised.
Carolina.
Just raised. I never said he was. All I said was
One.
he was born there. That's all I said.
But why not talk about the teams that are not being represented?
Let's
by
get
the
back on
national
that.
team?
Let's
Why,
get
why
back on
not
that.
do that? Especially when they have good young talent. It's one thing if we're talking. It's one thing to say, "Why are we talking about the Wizards?" I feel that. Why are we talking about the Wizards?
You
But
shouldn't
why
feel
would
that
we-
though. You should be consistent in your take. I should say why we talking about the Wizards. You shouldn't say that, though.
No. I'm all for talking about young teams that aren't being represented on TV
Maxwell.
that I feel has adequate talent, that has that good talent. That's what I feel.
Who's
that
on the
has been my
Wizards?
point.
Who's on the Wizards right now?
Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are the best two players.
And
And who's the best two players on the Hornets?
LaMelo Ball and Miles
Bridges.
Bridges. If you want to go there.
Yep.
Or Terry Rozier. Honestly, Terry
Poole,
Rozier.
I think Poole and Kuzma is better than them too. So you should be able. You should want to talk about the Wizards too. Then, based on your takes.
I mean, honestly, no, because LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges was bust their ass. What are we talking about?
I think LaMelo's the best player of that group.
What bust their ass?
Honestly, I don't know because you
Hell,
cannot.
you really arguing that? You really arguing that LaMelo Ball
Listen.
ain't better than Jordan Poole when he healthy? You really arguing that?
What we doing?
Yes, that's an argument. You have never seen.
No, hold on.
Oh, we're not gonna do the All-Star thing with me because CJ.
just-
Carl-
Okay, we're not okay. Let's take the
CJ
All-Star
has
thing
never
off the
been an
field.
All-Star,
All
and
right.
he's better than some All-Stars. One, that's
Facts,
and
Julius
who-
Randle, facts.
We've never.
Who never been All-Star? Wait, who never been All-Star?
CJ
CJ
McCollum,
CJ McCollum.
and he's been better than some All-Stars. So we're not gonna.
Be some all stars.
That CJ's been better.
Julius Randle.
Yes.
Julius
I
Randle.
think
don't think
CJ's
he's better
better
than.
than
I don't
Julius
think he's better
Randle.
than.
I
I
think
don't.
CJ McCollum is better than
I
Julius
don't
Randle
either.
as well.
I don't.
I think he's better. Mars, you are going
Anybody else?
straight to hell,
Was it
Mars,
just
with
you,
gasoline
CJ
draws
McCollum?
on.
Oh,
You
we-
understand that?
So in
Gasoline draws is heat.
McCollum whole career, he has not been better than no All-Star of that year. Are we being serious?
You're
right
the
now?
one that said it. Tell me who.
I don't know every.
So
All-Star. How long
okay,
he's
so
been in the league?
CJ McCullough showed up. I think
I
he
don't
should have been
think
like 2015, something
He
like
won
that.
most improved in 20.
He averaged 23 or 24. I know that year.
I'll
He
see
was
his
just
best year. Let's see his best
Wait.
year or best couple years and think about
Let's get
who
to see
on
it.
the All-Star team.
2016, 2017. 2016, 2017. He
What
averaged
did he-
23, 3.5 assists and
What?
3.5 rebounds.
So name the All-Star. I bet you I can find a player on that list that CJ McCollum is better than.
The
Okay.
2017
Let-
NBA All-Star.
2016, 20 said he averaged 23 a game that year. All right, let's get to the bottom of that right now.
Yeah, bring up that All-Star team. 'Cause I think you might be right. You might be right.
Wait. So East and West we're doing right? Because the reason
I'm
if
doing,
he was in the
all
East,
the All-Star. I'm doing
if
all
he
the
was in
All-Stars.
the East,
I
he'd
got
have
him
made
right
the
here.
All-Star team already.
I got him right here. And again, this
Right
is in
here.
2017 when I say these names. This isn't. I'm just naming all the guys: Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Paul George, Draymond, Kevin Love, Kobe, DeMarcus Cousins, Devin Booker, John Wall, KG. No way.
No. We Damo, you reading the wrong thing.
What the hell?
Whoa,
He said
whoa.
KG 2017.
Damo,
That's
Damo,
tough.
Nah,
Damo, you reading the wrong thing.
KG is retired.
I'm gonna say
I-
Kobe
I-
retired too.
I'll say
Kobe
I
this.
got the
retired too.
20, I got the 2017 All-Star game. Anthony
What the
Davis,
hell is this?
James Harden,
He said,
Steph
"What the
Curry,
hell is this?"
Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Mark Gasol, Russell Westbrook, Klay Thompson, Gordon Hayward,
Okay, here we go.
Draymond Green,
Gordon
DeAndre
Hayward.
Jordan.
He's better than Gordon Hayward.
In
I'll say
2017,
this. He's
Yes,
better
it's
than
over,
DeAndre
right?
He's
Jordan.
better than Gordon Hayward. He's better than DeAndre Jordan.
2017,
And he's
hey,
better than
hold
Mark
on, hold
Gasol.
on.
And he's
Here we go. Was that the year? Was that the year DJ was
Listen, and now y'all gonna say is that the year?
I
I'm
think
talking
he
about
was
an
all NBA
overall
that year.
player. He's
That was the
better
year
than
he was
those
All
guys.
NBA. I don't think he was better than. I don't think CJ was better than him that year. The year in 2017.
Now you're going to the year. You see
Gordon
what I'm
Hayward- That's the year we're talking about for CJ. That's the same year.
I'm
What are
saying?
you doing?
GJ McCollum has been a better player than a lot of All-Star that you could say a one-time All-Star. That's
You
all
just
I said.
Okay, Dell, you sat there and said, I don't know I don't know.
Listen,
all
the
guys.
only
So what are we talking about? I said, all right, let's find his best year.
Listen,
the only he had, and then look at the All-Star team that
listen,
year.
the only reason, Dama, the only reason you're going is because I said Jordan Poole and LaMelo, and you said one's an All-Star, one isn't. All I'm saying is that don't mean shit. That one's an All-Star, one isn't.
And your point to rebuttal that was CJ has been better than some guys on the All-Star team when he didn't make it, and I said I don't believe that. So let's do a case study and see. And that's why we brought it up.
And it's 3 players on that list.
If you're saying Gordon Hayward, I don't agree. I think Gordon Hayward was better that year.
Gordon
Hayward was better player that year.
The Jazz. He was on the Jazz.
The Jazz. His last year on the Jazz.
I don't think he was better.
24 again, Gordon Hayward.
Nice.
Why not?
I think CJ's a better player than him. Regardless, CJ's a better basketball player than Gordon Hayward.
What made him better?
What made him better?
What made him better?
And just so you know, Dale, and Dale, just so you know, and Dale, just so you know, no, Mars, we're not doing that, Mars. Because I said so, it's not an answer. So we clear.
Let's not do it. Let's not do it.
Okay.
Perfectly fine. This is why this. Who's better today, CJ McCollum or Gordon Hayward?
Today?
Yes, today, right now. Who's a better basketball player?
CJ McCollum.
Why?
Well, Gordon Hayward's just been hurt. Like, he's not the
because CJ is producing more than Gordon Hayward. He's
more skilled and he's been more skilled. Every time about producing, Gordon Hayward game changed. He forgot what to do and what he did in 2006.
He regressed. It happens. He got injured. He regressed. Is that not what happened?
The injury thing is big with Hayward. I mean, Hayward's just been injured.
He got injured and then regressed. He continued to regress. Got smaller roles for the team he was on.
Smaller role. He's on the same team. And did he get
no,
traded?
He's not. He went from Utah. He went to Utah. From Utah.
I'm talking from Charlotte. I'm talking. He's on Charlotte right now, right?
Yeah.
Again,
on Charlotte.
He was an All-Star in 2017. He went to Boston, got hurt, and from then on, after that season, his role diminished. He was supposed to be a top 3
McCollum been on the East, he's been a multiple All-Star. He was going behind Stephen Curry, Dame Lillard, sometimes Chris Paul, James Harden. That's the only reason. So you can say he produced more for the Jazz, but CJ at that guard position in the West is the only reason he has not been an All-Star.
So who comes off the team? Okay.
No, none of them guys come off the team is what I'm saying. I agree with that. But I'm just saying, y'all saying All-Star like Marc Gasol is not a better basketball player than CJ.
But that's a big man. CJ can't replace a big. He would have to
all I said was All-Star. He would have been an All-Star.
So All-Star.
If he was a big, sure. I mean,
So if we talking about guards, like you said what 15,
he's
16
not better than none of those guards.
Even though he did everything,
then he can't be an All-Star.
All I said he was better
than some of those bigs.
No, I get what you're saying. You're saying he was better than people who made the All-Star.
But you're not getting replaced. You're not replacing a big guy with small guy.
He wouldn't have been an All-Star for many
It's not even about
no.
Hey, rewind, because it's not even about him replacing somebody on the All-Star team. It's just about him being better. I don't think he was better than Marc Gasol. There we go.
Oh, okay.
The gap defensively trumps whatever you want to say he was eye test proved by on the offensive end, because Marc Gasol can still give you a bucket, he can still produce buckets, and he can stop way more than CJ McCollum stopped.
I think he was better than Goran Dragic when Dragic was an All-Star.
We're not gonna do the also because that's muted now. I don't know how well did the Jazz do that year with what's the name? Because you said
they were playing. I want to say
7th seed, 6th seed
in 2017.
I think they were a 5 seed because they played Golden State in round 2.
And where did Portland go?
Portland 2017.
They got swept. They either got swept or they lost in 5 games to the Warriors.
That was the Mike Conley, Gordon Hayward, Gobert there. Was Mitchell there? Was that rookie season or no?
They both got swept by Golden State, Portland and Utah, if I remember correctly.
Mitchell came in 18, and that was after Gordon Hayward wasn't there. So yeah, Mitchell's rookie year, Gordon Hayward, he replaced Gordon Hayward as the best player on the team, basically, essentially. But regardless, if you were to ask me who's better between LaMelo and CJ, I would tell you I say LaMelo, because playmaking wise, the edge goes to LaMelo. Scoring wise, I feel like CJ probably is the better scorer. He's definitely more. I would assume he's more efficient. Off the top of my head, as of right now, I would assume he's more efficient than LaMelo scoring wise. Yes, let me just I don't like to just talk on my ass, so let me make sure, because I don't want to be wrong, and LaMelo is actually way more efficient, and that proves my point even more.
CJ's more efficient.
Yeah, CJ's more efficient. I mean,
Respect LaMelo.
Yeah. Relative to volume, because LaMelo shooting 10 threes a game.
True shooting might be closer. True shooting might be closer.
Could you do this? Could you do this to Gordon and Gordon Hayward and CJ that year y'all was talking about, the All-Star year? This whatever y'all doing. Whatever he's saying about that y'all decide who's better by the numbers.
Like what's making me say
y'all do it. Whatever little calculations y'all doing, do that year.
Yeah, do it that year.
CJ shot 42% from 3 that year. That's kind of
I just want to know because he said I just want to see what because honestly, no BS. I want to learn how to look at numbers for a certain year and determine.
You went out, Dale.
No, I pressed mute. I mute. I want to decide some years on how y'all look at stuff and determine the fact of that makes the player better. Just how y'all just look at stuff. Because for some players, y'all can be like, oh yeah, he's outright better than them. We're not gonna do the produce. But for the close ones, we gotta go to the true shooting. I just want to I want y'all to teach me how to do that.
But okay, so if you
just go on Basketball Reference and find numbers that are higher for the player you want, and then you just use those numbers on repeat until you.
There you go.
And the reason why the numbers, the reason why the numbers matter, Dale. The reason why the numbers matter, Dale, is because it's.
I never said it didn't matter. I just was wondering.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you did. I'm saying that the reason why we bring up the numbers is because it's from a production
playing with prime Dame Lillard.
I'm gonna say, is there? Do you feel there's a difference with one being a number 1 and one being a number 2?
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you. Said CJ was better. Do you not consider that at all?
I think. Oh, let's consider it. I think CJ McCollum at that time without Dame Lillard, I think his numbers would be better as well. I think his number would be more. What's the word? Prolific.
More efficient. So he'd be more of a prolific scorer. So that 23 a game he averaged when he was with
26. Could be 26.
So that could be 26.
Yes.
Even though the 23 that he averaged had a lot to do with running with Dame, because of the attention that Dame got, because of the attention that other guys got.
Honestly, I get what you're trying to say in retrospect, but Dame, that offense it was you go, I go. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like Dame a lot coming off of curling, drawing help that way. Dame was getting all his buckets, and still to this day is a one-on-one nightmare, pick and roll nightmare. With CJ and him, it was just you go, I go, you go, I go. It's never been a fluid system where it's like, yeah, Dame is on the court and Dame would keep one defender, but Dame wasn't gravitating all the defense like a Steph Curry's gravity. He wasn't doing that. That's what I get what you're saying.
The reason why CJ wasn't as productive as he was because he was playing off Dame. So he was getting a lot of one-on-one matchups because exactly what you just said. Okay, he might not have been drawing gravity like Steph Curry, but he was still drawing.
But my point is,
he still was drawing gravity.
And
because he was drawing gravity, that benefited CJ McCollum. 100%. And that benefited him to the fact that he was averaging 20 plus a game. You take that off the table, now what happens? That 20 plus a game doesn't look like that. It looks way different because now CJ is looking at double teams. Now CJ is looking at different defenses.
I don't think CJ
focus of the offense. He's not that anymore. When he's running with Dame, it looks way different. Why? Because of what I got to deal with when I'm dealing with Dame. He makes my job a lot less difficult.
The true shooting for both those players is only 1% apart. CJ was 58% and Gordon Hayward was 59%. So I mean,
Gordon Hayward clears.
It's a 1% difference, so I guess it's
number 1 option versus number 2 option, and it's still more efficient. Clears.
Roll tax. Fuck that. What's your role on the team?
We doing that?
Roll
tax. Yo, you killing me, Damo. I already got on my W2 what I got to fill out. Now I got a roll tax now.
Roll tax.
Keep going, Jalen.
Yeah, it's we're roll tag. I guess just thinking
now we're roll tag. I want to know the numbers.
True set. So it's Gordon Hayward was 59% true shooting. CJ McCollum was 58. So it's 1% apart. So they're basically the same.
So it's the same.
No. Gordon Hayward clears.
1%. Yeah, sure, but they're basically the same. So
Gordon Hayward averages more rebounds.
Gordon Hayward averages more rebounds. They have more.
He's 6'8", Mars. He's 6'8", Mars.
Yeah, so that makes them better. They average the same amount of assists.
So again, the separator here probably should be that Gordon Hayward is a number 1 option. Was going against the other team's number 1 defender most of the time, while CJ McCollum was probably going up against the other team's number 2 defender because clearly they're going to focus on Damian Lillard. that'll be
And the
argument
Jazz
for
had
Hayward.
10 more wins than the Blazers. So we're talking about a guy as a number one option that's produced. His numbers are indicative of them winning 10 more games than the number two option playing next to a number one.
Who is on the
And
Jazz
they
team?
made
Who's
the
this
second
Jazz? This is Gordon
Mike
Hayward.
Conley. I think Mike Conley.
Mike Conley.
They had a crew that year. That was what you
Mike
call
Conley's
it.
in Memphis.
Mike Conley.
Mike Conley's in Memphis.
No,
No, not Mike Conley. Sorry, not Mike Conley.
Mm-mm.
Who am I thinking of?
Who's
Donovan
the
Mitchell was on that crew that year. They had just got Donovan Mitchell.
Was that Mitchell's rookie year?
They had Joe Ingles.
I thought he
Yeah, they had
George
they
Hill
had
was on
ISO
that
Joe.
team.
They had ISO Joe.
Rodney
Joe
Hood was on that team back when Rodney
Yep.
Hood was.
They had a good team, yo. They had a damn good team.
They have Rudy Gobert or
Jackson,
no?
Dante
Was
Exum.
Gobert there?
That
Yeah,
was
Rudy was
year
there.
three
Yeah,
Rudy.
Rudy
Year
was
three
there.
Rudy, yep.
Mhm.
So
Hey, I also do want to
Donovan
mention
Mitchell
too.
wasn't
Gordon
there yet.
Hayward got busy in the
Oh, he
playoffs
wasn't there
that year
yet?
too.
Donovan,
It-
that was the year before Donovan Mitchell got. I thought so. Yeah,
Okay. I
Donovan
thought he
Mitchell
was
and
there.
Gordon
My
never
fault.
played together.
My
Yeah,
fault. I thought he was there. My fault.
For the record, that team, Gordon Hayward, 22 points a game. His second lead scorer was George Hill. Then Gobert at 14. Rodney Hood. That's actually impressive. Lead that team with George Hill, Gobert, Rodney Hood, Derek Favors as the top 5 scorers. Joe Johnson coming out the bench. That's
He made a
impressive.
mistake leaving Utah. He did. He made a mistake.
I don't
leaving
think he
there.
made a mistake. One.
I think he
He
wanted to
got a
win.
lucky. He's got a lucky.
He
Yeah,
just
he
wants
got
to go
lucky
back
last
I
season.
think we need to acknowledge the fact that Rudy Gobert was the best player on that team, but it's fine.
Oh my
Wait,
god!
wait, and they
I don't know
went. They
about that.
finished what eighth?
No,
What-
the
what-
Blazers
what
were
was it?
eighth.
They were
They were
sixth.
fifth. Yeah, they were
Okay.
fifth.
The
Yeah.
Jazz.
Yeah,
was
they
fifth.
played
Made
Golden
it to
State
the
in the
second round of the
That's
playoffs
fifth.
too.
They both got swept by
Snyder?
Golden State. It was the same thing. They both got swept by Golden State.
Rudy was their only All-Pro, and he was the Defensive Player of the Year the next year. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken.
And they were the third best defense in the league. I mean, respect
Was
Rudy
that
Gobert.
that year or the year after?
That year, they were the third best defense in the league. That year.
The next year, he was the Defensive Player of the Year.
Rudy
I
Gobert was the
can't
best
believe
player.
that. I think Gordon Hayward is better than CJ McCollum overall.
He
This
was
shit is
better in
bad.
2017.
That's crazy.
I think CJ's had a better career, and I think is probably more talented. But that
Dame, if you think about it, Dame in the playoffs, that's the reason Dame stretched his 3-ball out so far because of how they was playing him in the playoffs. He talked about it, how he had to stretch his 3-ball out to help his offense.
I mean,
I think we should talk about the fact that Damian Lillard didn't make the All-Star game that year. We know he was better.
I
than some
think we should
All-Stars,
talk about the
right?
fact that LaMelo
In
Ball is
2017?
clearly better than Jordan Poole. That's what we
Yes.
should really be talking about.
Is that what we're talking about, Mars, in 2017?
Yes.
Damian
He was
did
a
not make the
snub. He
All-Star
was
team
a
in
snub. Then. He was
2017.
probably the snub. He was a snub. Everyone was talking.
Why the hell?
What?
did
Let me
Damian
ask
Lillard
you a
not make the
question.
All-Star team in 2017?
What does Jordan Poole has to do? Because I won't argue with you. Oh yeah, he's better than him. I don't like when people say clearly based on like we haven't seen Jordan Poole in this light before. Who knows?
We haven't seen Jordan
Poole
Poole number one option. That's true. We haven't.
we
Seen
never
that.
seen that before.
Oh, so we are doing roll tax. Okay.
No, I'm. That's what when I look at Jordan Poole's game, the way I think Jordan Poole's about to explode. Probably for, of course, a 10th place team, 11th. I don't know
How much does he average? How much does he average, Dale?
I think he's 25 better and better.
So
I think
28 isn't crazy.
27.
Who said 28? Who said 28?
Ron
I
said
don't know.
28.
Somebody
Oh,
get up
yeah.
there.
Oh, I think 25 are better. I really do.
Hold on. Can we rewind for a real quick second?
So we
Mars.
think this is like a Jalen Brunson going to his own team type ordeal.
He's not as good as Jalen.
Basically.
He's not-
I
I don't
think
think
his
either,
points
but
per
I
game
don't-
does go up to 25.
I don't think
plus.
he's good as Jalen. I
I
think
just think
Jalen
he's
Brunson's better than LaMelo as well.
So do I.
He's not as good as
That's fair.
Jalen Brunson because he's not. He's just not as poised. Like I don't think he knows how to play basketball mentally as good as Jalen Brunson does. I think he's
Okay.
still on the chicken with the head cut off, and I'm about to go kill and eat. That's why I think he'll average 25 points. But you can't say the Charlotte Hornets. I don't even know the Charlotte's full team that you said that we have to talk about the young guys. Yeah, we could shed some light on LaMelo, but I think it stops there. Honestly,
Mars,
No love for Brandon Miller.
I'm gonna say,
No,
so you don't
no,
think Brandon
no.
Miller's gonna do anything?
I don't. I'm sorry. I just haven't been fond of Charlotte's draft picks. Like if he kill him, like about
That's
time
fair.
somebody did something. But I feel it's always a lost in the shuffle because I thought James Bouknight was very, very good, very good. And
What
I
hap-
thought if he goes somewhere,
no, he didn't do he didn't do much with Charlotte last year. Why has he not been more productive? We're going into year 3 now, by the way.
Because
he
has
and
off-the-court
Killian
issues
Hayes?
as well.
he
Nah,
had
he's
all
not that
those
good.
issues one this year.
He
But-
and Killian Hayes are right there next to each other. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't agree with
James-
that.
James Bouknight is terrible. I'm sorry. James Bouknight is terrible.
I think PJ Washington.
And I liked him coming out.
PJ Washington is a solid pick. PJ Washington is solid.
PJ
Yes, PJ is a solid pick.
LaMelo.
And my boy Nick. And my boy Nick.
Nick Richards was undrafted, right?
Nah, he was second round.
Oh, my fault.
Yo, so
Nick,
before I get into these super chats, I gotta ask everybody how many games do you think that the Hornets will win? Show's winding down, y'all. So we got to get to the nitty gritty. How many games will they win?
30 between 30 and 40.
I'm gonna say 35 games. Yeah, I'm gonna say 38 games.
I'm gonna say they're the 7th seed, so like 41, 40.
And real quickly, Mars, in 17, who comes off that All-Star team? Curry, Harden, Clay, Russ. Who comes off for the guards?
Yeah, pack Clay up.
Clay can go. Clay can definitely go.
Bye, buddy. Like,
yeah.
Ain't no way Golden State's getting 4 All-Stars. I'm sorry. Pack Clay up.
Draymond shouldn't have really been on that team either.
Yeah, the best defender in the league. Yeah, just pack him up too, I guess.
Yeah, Jalen, we be with you a lot of times, and then you'll say something that just completely derail the train. We rolling with you, and then you'll say something wild.
We talking about guards, and pack Draymond. I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
Draymond could go to it. Just
the reigning defensive player of the year, who is on one of the best teams. Oh my god! Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
But yeah, we can.
What how many games do they win, Mars? What's your
38.
prediction for? 38. Dale, do you have a prediction for the Charlotte Hornets next year? What do they?
How much did they win last year?
27 games.
27.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of injuries.
And by the way, Melo Ball, he only played 36 games last year, so he missed more than half the season.
And they get Miles Bridges back.
Mm-hmm.
And before, when they did have Miles Bridges, they were a playing team, a lot playing team. So it is a bit different.
What other teams won 27 games last year that we talking about?
We're doing every team in the league in 3 divisions.
Oh.
That's what we're doing.
That's tough. Honestly, again, chill. I'm indifferent about how much games they're gonna win. It's like whatever. 31, 32, maybe. Who knows? Isn't LaMelo hurt right now?
No.
Oh, he's back.
No,
he's back healthy.
He ready to go. He ready to go.
I mean, I think he's either rehabbing or something, or finishing up rehab, or he should be healthy. I don't know of him being hurt still. I know he's playing the hell out of 2K.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Teague in my on 2K a few days ago. So shout out to Jeff Teague. He has like a 40 win% in rec, but respect to him.
I love Jet T. I'm a fan of him again.
Shout out
all right, fellas, we're gonna dive into these super chats. Let's go ahead and get to it. Stony Starks say, y'all think of what do y'all think of ESPN's DEA story linking LBJ to PEDs?
I don't know what it is, but it's facts.
But guys, innocent. He's just innocent.
I'm not saying. Didn't they say the DA said that it didn't find anything?
Then it's not facts. It's not facts. It's not facts.
Nah, you can't just say like that, Mars. No, you can't.
100% confident, Damo. I'm 100% confident, Damo. I heard that. After further investigation, he has been cleared of all charges.
That's what I heard.
Oh, no, that story's fake. What are we talking about? No.
He's innocent like OJ.
What?
Jalen, there's no way you think OJ is innocent.
I don't know. Obviously, we know OJ did it. We know
okay, I just want to make sure.
OJ did it.
We don't know. We don't know if he did it.
He basically admitted it in the book he wrote. But what, 20 years later, he basically
wasn't there. We don't know.
Mars, there's no way there's no way you're on trial for murder, and then write a book on. Well, if I did do it, this is how I would have done it.
He knows. He knows. We know.
Did the glove fit? Did the glove fit?
The glove didn't have to fit, Mars.
Hey man, it's the
glove don't fit. You must have quit, man. You know.
I'm sorry, Ron. Keep going, because y'all wild with this.
Dustin Brooks sent through a super chat. He said, "Who is a better scorer? How ironic, LeBron or Kevin Durant?"
Yeah, I'm gonna lose it when we say LeBron.
Jalen, go ahead and answer the question. Who's the better scorer?
I'm gonna you, Mars, because you. I had KD at first. Then we started looking at it. You made some good points. Then we started thinking about. Could be LeBron James. I'm gonna let you take it. 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 Exactly. I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay, so
LeBron. Go ahead.
Let's talk about who KD is. Without Golden State, borderline top 50 player. The scoring in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen it falls off. 2016 here, questionable. Whereas LeBron, I mean, 10 finals appearances. Doesn't need a super team. 27 points a game, all-time leading scorer in NBA history. He might just be the best scorer of all time. I mean, at what point, how many points does LeBron need to score for him to be considered the best scorer of all time? Because he's going to hit 40,000. Is 40,000 enough? Does he have to hit 45,000?
He's the only player with 40,000.
How many points does LeBron need to score before people say he's the best scorer of all time? Like, how many times is he going to put the ball in the basket in a game of basketball before people be like, okay, this guy scores the ball better than everyone else?
That doesn't work, Mars, because that's a Mars. That doesn't work because that's a longevity stat. That's all that is. Mars.
How many times? But he's averaging 27 every year.
That's just a longevity stat.
Every year is 27.
That's just a longevity stat, Mars. So what?
Are you trolling? Or you answer that? Or you ask that last question seriously before I speak?
I am genuinely curious if there's a point total that LeBron has to reach before people would call him the best scorer of all time. I am curious.
But if he reached that point, would that mean he's the best scorer to you? That's what I'm asking.
Oh no, to me, MJ's the best scorer ever. But I'm curious to know if how many points LeBron needs to score. Like, if he scores 45,000 points, are people still gonna say he's not the best scorer ever? Like,
no, I don't care about people. What are you gonna say if he scored 45,000?
I judge the best based on peak. So the longevity is his greatness is unmoved. I think he might be the greatest scorer ever because he's done it for so long. At this level, it's hard to argue that for someone doing it for 20 years. I mean, 27 a game every single year, 27 in the postseason, most playoff points, most regular season points, most combined points, some of the highest averages of all time, some of the most efficient scoring of all time. He's the greatest scorer of all time to me. He's not the best because I think MJ peaked higher as a scorer, but all time longevity.
Mars, it actually went up in the playoffs too, by the way. It went up to 29.
It's LeBron to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many points this guy has to score, do it every single year routinely, and people are just like, nah, the bag ain't good enough. Like, well, he's scoring 27 every single night.
It's so dope how LeBron has been able to transform and still be able to score at the level he's scoring 100%. I don't ever take the number one on that list into consideration because I was never saying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the greatest scorer of all time when he was number one and no one thought he wasn't going to pass. People wasn't going to pass him. With Braun and
which is wild as hell because he averaged 30 a game for 8 years.
Yeah, the criteria of how y'all define scoring and who's the best scorer, this, that, and the third. That's why that question y'all could answer it. I could never answer that question because I don't look at it. I don't look at basketball as the way some of y'all look at it. Like, y'all look at the peak this and peak that. In terms of scoring the basketball out, like a one-on-one, just go out there and go hoop and get a bucket. I'm sorry, I don't look at the numbers and what are you producing and this, that. I just don't. I don't do that. Like, I'm sorry.
How is LeBron scoring to you? Like, how are his points coming?
LeBron, I think LeBron gets a lot of easy basket, but scoring is scoring though. It's still getting points. So this is why if someone come to me and be like, "Oh yeah, Bron's the best scorer ever," I'm not. All right, cool. That's, you know what I'm saying. If you want to look at it so literally, do it. I don't look at scoring the basketball as literally as you just putting the ball in the basket. Because you also said to me before that Shaq was a better scorer than Kobe, and I laughed at that. But you had points to back up your sentiments and. Okay, cool. But to me, that's like
I've changed my mind about that, by the way.
I never knew that. See, this is your first time saying that to me. But yeah, and that was blasphemous to me. So I'm like, oh, all right. Like, that's what I'm going against. Someone wholeheartedly believing that Shaq is a better scorer than Kobe Bryant. And I'm like, all right, bet. So when we have
LeBron is versatile.
No, Bron is very versatile. He is very, like, that's why I said, somebody said, oh, Bron, cool. But if I just think I think Jordan's a better scorer than Bron. I think Kobe's a better scorer than Bron. I think KD's a better scorer than Bron, and Bron has more points than all of them.
But is that it? Are they the only three? Because if someone has LeBron at 4, I get it. But
gotta go.
Oh well.
That's
tough. If someone has LeBron at 4, I get it. And I'm not, because I've never said LeBron's the best scorer ever. Because I think no one scored the basketball better than Michael Jordan. I mean, it's hard to argue against what he did. But for me, at some point, this man is scoring so much more than everyone else. How much more can you just rely on bag to make the argument against LeBron? Like, at some point, you just have to be like, even if he was only scoring with right-hand layups, the whole 40,000.
Like, that matters.
Like, at some point, it's like, okay, we have to give it to this guy. Like, he scored more in the playoffs than anyone, scored more in the regular season than anyone. He had like a top 10 average in both the regular season and playoffs for his career, over a 20-year career. I don't know what more you want from the guy. At this point, I don't know what more you're going to ask from him. Does he shoot as well as anyone ever? No. Is he the most skilled of anyone ever? No. But he's producing more than anyone ever has for as long as anyone ever has. At some point, you just have to be like, I can't argue against this.
With the skill set that he had. And if you're going to talk about a guy like Jabbar, for example, who Jabbar being the better transition player than people gave him credit for. He scored a lot in transition. That was largely due to Magic, but in the half court where he only had one shot. I take that into account because as deep as your bag is, as many things that you can go to, that you have to go to, as opposed to me having this one thing that I go to and you can't stop that. Why is that less valuable than you going deep into your bag? I always equate it to a gunfight. If you got 10 different guns and I got one gun and I take out the whole crew, who's better?
I agree. I'm always on that side of the argument. You don't need to. It's different if the lack of versatility can get exposed. Right. Then I'm like, okay, you need to add more to your game. But if you're not particularly versatile, but teams can't slow you down.
They can't stop.
Like 2011 LeBron lacked versatility and he could get slowed down. Same with like Cleveland LeBron. There was clearly holes in his game that could get exploited. But when he added that post game, when his jump shot did slightly improve, when he had more counters to those things, he still doesn't match Kobe in terms of versatility. He doesn't match KD in terms of versatility. He doesn't match Mike in terms of versatility. But you can't slow him down. So like, why does it matter? That's how I view it anyway.
I think the jump shot improving, I think that expanded his game so much more. And then the three ball, when he added that to his game, that I always equate guys like that where they become now impossible, where we just got to eat your production. So as good as you are, we got to slow everybody else down because this 28 that we're going to get from him, we can't do anything about it. We just got to eat that.
Chill, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Chill?
You just did it. So ask me another one.
Oh, my bad. Hey, does that same logic apply to Giannis? Does it matter how he scores? He's still putting up 30, right?
It's the same thing, Ticket. Same exact thing. Sure.
So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter if Giannis, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have a jump shot. He's still getting 30 and they can't stop him, right?
Correct.
That's all I want to know.
It's just in the playoffs. The playoffs with Giannis, it's just.
I never question Giannis's ability to score. Because again, a guy that can get downhill, not just a guy that can get downhill, a guy that can finish at the rim, I never question Giannis's ability to score. Never.
I do in the postseason in the half.
Now, if Giannis can get that jump shot to where it's back to being respectable, forget it.
That's the difference. Like 2009, 2010 LeBron. Very comparable to Giannis in terms of offensive scoring skill set. I think LeBron needed to improve. I think Giannis now needs to improve because they could put up numbers in the regular season, no doubt. But in the postseason, against the right type of defense, you can slow them down because of the flaws in their game. Right. I think Giannis has flaws in his game that get slowed down in the playoffs to a level that is not ideal for his team, which is why I think he needs to improve. Now, he's still one of the 10 best scorers in the league, in my opinion. But to get to that next level, I think that's what he needs to address. And I think that's the same thing LeBron needed to address. So I think that's why I probably hold him lower than LeBron all time.
Where do you think it came from, though, Mars? Because James could actually, from 2003 to 2009, because we did see it, he could knock down a jump shot. The problem is that he couldn't do it on a consistent basis. And then he got to a point where he could actually do it on a consistent basis. Even though his scoring didn't go up from 27 or 28 to 40 or 35, he now added that where he can knock down a 16-footer and it's respectable because he can do it on a consistent basis. I wonder where that came from. I think that came from him it wasn't that he wasn't working on it because I'm sure he was working on it. I think it was a mental thing more than anything.
Hey, Chill. I wanted to.
Oh, my bad, dog. Go ahead.
Chill. I don't think, even in 2013, 14 finals, I think LeBron still had those deficiencies in his jump shot. Mm-hmm. Man, the Spurs was literally going, I'm talking about not even respecting the jumper.
We'll live with you shooting. We'll live with you shooting that.
So even now, I think he's gotten better, but to me, I still think he's a downhill guy. He's always been that. I don't think his jump shot has never been consistent. You know what I mean? I think still to this day, you would rather go underneath his screen than let him get downhill.
1,000%.
Sure. Can I ask you a question, Chill? So
just talk to me, yo.
Hey, dog, because what's up, dog? What's up, Playboy?
Don't worry about these people, man. Talk to me.
I ain't worried about nobody, dog. I'm just moving like a boss. That's it. Like I said though, dog. So I mean, in the playoffs last year, outside of that one game, Giannis only played 3 games. So he was basically on the path to averaging 30 in the playoffs, which is what he averaged in the regular season. The year before that, he led the playoffs in scoring. He averaged 31.7. The year before that, he averaged 30.2. The year before that, 26.7. The year before that, 25.5. The year before that, 25.7. The year before that, 24.8.
This in the playoffs.
Yeah. Did that seem like his jump shot, his shooting stopped him from being able to score the basketball? Because it seems like he was still getting buckets and it was getting better every single year in the postseason. And for this past season where he got hurt that first game and didn't only play like 11 minutes, I guess 10 minutes.
Right. Having that jump shot expanded his game. He already could get to the bucket with the best of them. We already know that with Giannis. But he did have a jump shot. He did improve it. He did improve his shooting, in your opinion. Well, I think that it got respectable. I think it was 2021. I think he had a respectable mid-range game. I think it was respectable. In 2021. I agree. I think it went the other way last year. If he could get back to where he was in 2021, in terms of his game, like you just brought up the numbers, those could be a little bit skewed because a lot of people will just look at it going, yo, how was he getting these buckets? But when his downhill game, it opens up so much more because now the defense, they got to respect that mid-range. And he don't got to knock it down with regularity, but if he has it where it's respectable, man, that opens up so much more of his game, not just as a scorer, but everything.
Right. So I just wanted to make sure that didn't sound like a part-time killer to you. I mean, a guy that's putting up 30 every single playoff, I mean, damn. I mean, this past season, he was going to put up 30 last year until he got hurt. Remember the 2 games he had I think he had a 30-point triple-double or a 30-point game, 36-point game, and then a 28-point triple-double.
Yeah, 38, 10, and 7 in that one game. They lost, though. But I think he had something like that. I think he was 38 and 16, 38 and 15, something like that.
Right. I just wanted to make sure, man. Like I said before, I mean, if you average 25.5 and 12.3, 26.7 and 13.8, 30.2 and 12.8, 31.7 and 14.2, and then in the last year, you still averaged 23.3 and 11 rebounds when you was hurt. I mean, that don't sound like no part-time killer to me, but I mean, what do I know? I'm just a nigga that hoop.
Talk that talk, Ticket. Talk that talk.
I will say about Kevin Durant, though. Anytime when I look at just the eye test, I watch Jordan score, Kobe score, LeBron, Durant. When I just the eye test, I think Durant's the best scorer. When I see Durant score the ball versus those guys, I think at his height, kind of the defensive, matchup problems that he brings to the table because of his length, his shooting ability. It's just that was the case when I first got the PC. I had Kevin Durant as my greatest scorer of all time. I just think with his arsenal of moves at his height was just maybe one of the most unstoppable things.
All right, fellas, I got another super chat that I want to read. We about to wrap up here soon, but Aramis sent through a last-second super chat. He said LeBron has the most points, but he's not the best scorer in terms of ways to score. I consider him an elitist, but not the best. The reason he was able to break the scoring title was longevity and expansion of his game. Win.
Hold on, you still have to be an elite. You still have to be Marcia 27 a night for what? Almost 20 years. 25
with
plus.
The game changing under you as well. Like, exactly. It went from 2 bigs inside to now we're playing stretch basketball 5 out, and LeBron's adjusted through errors.
Yeah, I got to put a long ball in my game. I got to put a long ball in my game. I have to do that.
Part two to his super chat. He said an expansion of his game when he was already a high caliber player. It's his IQ. It's his mental, it's his athletic ability, while also maintaining consistency and taking care of his health. He's not the best scorer, though, in terms of ways to score.
Yeah, he's not the most versatile, but at some point you just have to say he's scoring more than anyone ever has at this point, more than anyone ever has throughout their careers and is doing it longer than anyone ever has. And you're like, okay, at some point, he's doing it better than anyone ever has.
And when you talk about unstoppable moves, putting your shoulder down at his side, getting to the rim, and dunking or finish your lip, that's an unstoppable move. At his side, there's nobody stopping him when he gets his shoulder down and getting to the rim. There's no one stopping him.
And that lovely spin move travel he does. That's a travel every single
They
time.
don't call it.
Oh my
They don't
God.
call it.
Well,
The most egregious travel I've ever seen, but it just never gets called. But that's fine.
Vaughn said, "Can I get you guys this top 3 to 5 all time in terms of skill?"
Kobe, Hakeem,
Kyrie.
Mike. Kobe, Hakeem, and Mike is probably my top 3.
Kyrie at
About
4?
5.
Kobe,
Def-
Hakeem,
de-
Mike,
de-
at 3,
defense
not
is
in
a
that
factor.
order.
Defense is a factor.
Then I would say Steph is up there for me. And
Are we just talking about bucket getters, or are we talking about overall skill?
Oh, they said
passing
skill.
Passing is a skill. Playing
Yeah,
defense
yeah.
is a skill. Rebounding is a skill.
Chris Paul, I think.
Yeah, we talking about bucket getting in.
yeah, we talking about this.
Kobe, Hakeem, and Mike, like Hakeem's passing was Kobe and Mike were elite on both sides of the ball. On ball,
Hold on.
off ball, scoring at every single facet of the game. They
Right.
could pass
Chris
at that
Paul?
level. They
So
could do
James is
everything.
in there. James is definitely in the top 5 in terms of
Fellas,
skill set.
We got to wrap the show up. Unfortunately, we'll be back tomorrow to talk about the Orlando Magic. I'm assuming Dale won't be here, but we'll be here talking about the Orlando Magic. Shout out to Dub. Reason why I'm shouting out Dub, not only because he just popped his head up here, but Open Gym is next. You guys go over there, check in with them, see what they talking about. I'm assuming they got a wild agenda to push today. We'll be pushing a wild agenda tomorrow. We got